On every timeline, in every universe,
there's one thing that we always talk about. Marvel.
Welcome to the Goodell Multiverse podcast. I am your host, Sam Goodell.
I am Isaiah Goodell.
And today we're diving into our 5th episode of the Goodell Multiverse podcast. We're so excited for this. We're doing a retrospective of Thor 1.
Oh, yeah.
We're really stoked. So I'll run through the agenda really quick, and then my brother has a special announcement he'd like to make regarding the podcast. So our agenda for today on this episode is we're going to start off with the news of the week, which is something we've called the Multiverse Minute. And then we're going to do our breakdown of Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Episode 4 that just came out last week. That is going to be called our Branch Point Breakdown. Yep. I have to remember. We came up with a really cool name,
right there.
But it's a tongue twister. Yeah. And then, of course, we're getting to our retrospective series that we're doing on our Road to Doomsday. Or no, is it Road to Doomsday?
Our March to Doomsday.
March to Doomsday. Yes, I'll get that right someday with Thor 1. So take it away, Ike.
Okay, guys, bear with me, but we have some changes that we want to do. It's nothing too big. You're going to get our podcast in full if you want it, for sure. But for time reasons and some editing reasons, we've decided to put it into some segments when you go online and when you look for us on YouTube. And as Sammy alluded to already with some of the titles of it, we're going to do a section called the Multiverse Minute, which is basically just, even if the minute's like 45 minutes, sometimes it's going to happen, but it's going to be the Multiverse Minute. And that's going to be everything news with Marvel. And we just discussed today, before we started, we're going to throw in some DC to keep caught up on that as well. So yeah, it's going to be a news segment where we feel like we can talk a little more freer and longer about certain things. We found that it's a longer part in our podcast. So that's going to be one of the segments that you're going to be able to click on separately if you would like to. Say that's all you want to check out was the news that day, or that was something you wanted to get to, you can go on and just find that. The next segment is going to be our Branch Point Breakdown, which is basically going to be any Marvel TV show takes center stage. So when there's a show playing and we're going to watch it every week, and we're going to do a breakdown of it like we have been doing with Daredevil. Now, we know that shows aren't going to be playing all the time, and we haven't quite decided together yet if we're going to do one for DC Green Lantern. We might, because it looks great. But if we don't, or we do, during that time that there isn't a show playing, we're going to probably twice a month, maybe 3. We haven't quite decided, but you can go on there and you can look and you can find that we're going to also start reviewing some old movies that we grew up with. And they're not going to be Marvel or DC related. It's going to be fun stuff that I think everyone's all seen, that are big movies everybody likes. It's also a segment I think we could have a good time with, maybe having like a guest on, like our mother or a friend or people that have influenced us into watching the movies that we watch. But just so you know, that will only be up. Those will only be coming up when there isn't a show playing. Because when there's a show playing, that's going to take center stage. So that's more of a just keep your eye out for that, because you never know. You might see something on there really cool and you want to talk about it. We've already talked Titanic. We might do the Terminator movies. We're definitely going to do Lord of the Rings, so stay tuned. Stuff like that. We're all going to love that kind of stuff. And then, of course, our main segment, the reason why we started this podcast in the first place, is all Marvel, right? And our Marvel, retrospective the main movies and stuff, that's going to be the longest segment and the longest part of our podcast always. Because once we get caught up and we get to where we're going to go into the backlog of all the Marvel movies. We haven't quite decided how far back we went. I think we determined already that Howard the Duck probably isn't going to happen. Yeah. So anything after that maybe is probably what we're going to do. So we're not sure, but we're definitely we're going to be doing a lot of them though. There's quite a few, and we'll have a lot of fun with that. Another thing I want to announce, I don't know when the first one's going to be. It might be this week, maybe even next week. But keep your eye out for it. I'm going to do a segment called The Dark Dimension, which I'm just going to do a quick 20-minute to a half-hour long segment about a horror movie that's coming out, or that has already been out that I've seen. And of course, with each one of those, I'm going to have a creature feature to kind of like tell you to watch. I figure there's way too many old horror movies with old creature features. I can't do them all. So I'm definitely going to highlight a horror movie that's of recent that I think is good, that I suggest you should watch, and then show you one like that's old, that's kind of real cheesy and crappy, but still right up your alley if you like horror. Other than that, that's pretty much what we're doing with our channel that's new. We will have more things coming. We've got a lot of stuff we're talking about. We're still trying to figure out how this is going to all work, and we're having a great time doing it. So let us know in the comments and all these things if this works or if this doesn't work or what you want more of, and so then we know who's watching, what they like, what you want to see, and we'll try to, fit it best with how we feel we're doing it because we're also doing what we like. So it's one of those things where we're not going to just do anything, but if you guys want a second horror movie every week, I'll do it. If you want Sammy to do something on his own, you have a suggestion of something he decides to do on his own, tell us. If you think our news thing needs this, let us know. The best thing you guys can do is give us feedback, and then we will do our best to try to make it fit because this is new to us and we're just trying our best at this point. So unless you got something to add to that, Sammy, I think that's pretty much it. Just keep your eyes out, guys, on the changes as you see them, and we will make sure we announce things properly so then you know that it's there if you didn't go look by chance. So yeah.
Well, I think the only things I would add to it is, first off, I think this is really cool. It's just part of a growing experience for a new channel and new people like us doing stuff like this. We've never podcasted before. I've had some experience with my volunteer group at an animal shelter, but that's mainly just doing what I'm doing right now as the host. So I'm learning about the editing thing. We're both learning about, okay, how does the marketing part work, all that different stuff. So this is just part of our growing of the channel of putting our footprint on the mark type thing.
Yeah, and truth is, we're inspired by guys that we've watched online. I gotta throw a shot. I mean, I know we're just a young thing, and they probably won't hear of us at all. But in case they ever do, I throw a shout out to guys like John Campia or John Roca or Christian Harloff, and these are guys that every time I've watched some of their stuff, we don't have a lot of people in our little Western New York area that we can talk movies with. So we've relied a lot on listening to guys online, just talking movies, especially movies we like. And over again, we hear them say, hey, if you guys are into this, all you got to do is pick up a camera and start. It doesn't matter how small or how big. If you like it, go do it. And that's, we finally were just like, you know what?
Yeah.
My brother and I, we could sit on a summer night and talk 2 or 3 hours about one movie or one scene in a movie. And we're just like, why don't we take this? And he's like, what are we talking? Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's boring. I mean, it all depends on who's listening, and we just actually, I just got recently inspired as a group called the Confused Breakfast out of Iowa. Those guys are fantastic. And they kind of told their whole story about they started just like we are right now. And I don't expect us to be anything big. I just want us to have our content out and our thoughts out. And if you guys care enough to listen and subscribe and like, and it gets bigger, then hey, this is something we love doing. So yeah, just let us know.
I echo that. Sure. I echo that sentiment that my brother has there for that. People like John Campia that I watch routinely, Doom Blazer, Grace Randolph from Beyond the Trailer. I watch you guys like routinely. Like I wake up in the morning and on my way to work or as I'm getting ready, I'm like, what was the show on that I missed yesterday or what's new out there? And I pull up my YouTube and they're the first people that pop up there just because it's the content that I like. And I'm just becoming like a small little grape on the fruit platter of this whole thing. So
I love Campius. Campius is great. Him and Robert Meyer Burnett are great together. I often disagree with John, but he's so good at it wouldn't be an argument. I would love to have a debate or discussion with him because he understands just like we do that it's all subjective. And there's times he says something like, John, what the heck are you talking about? But then there's times I'm like, yeah, you're dead on. I like that difference up there. As you see, Sam and I will do the same thing. We're going to have different takes on things. And we're just having fun with it. We can get passionate. Passionate and heated is fun, but that's all it is. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're talking about Marvel and we both love it to death. So it's okay if you're passionate about one character or one movie and the other person's not so much. And it's funny, as we're doing this retrospective, my taste is definitely different than my brother's taste. Yeah. But somehow we find that crossroads right there. And it's like, we just love Marvel. So
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we see the same thing with, like, I disagree sometimes with John Campea and Grace Randolph sometimes, but at the same time, I value their opinion. I
Right.
want to hear it. And it's good to have those different opinions
Yeah,
on that.
often it makes you think of it in that way too. You're like,
Exactly.
oh wow,
Yeah.
or it's strong, or it helps you strengthen your argument. Say, man, I
Mhm.
wish I was there because I'd be like, what about this? Because all of a sudden now it's clear what you feel that you feel better about, and yeah, I think Sam and I have a great thing going because we see these movies from two different perspectives. I see them as someone who's been indulged in as a huge movie buff. I've seen thousands of movies. I watch them all the time. I could do my own podcast on how many movies I watch. I wouldn't have time to do it, to be honest with you. Sammy comes from a different direction, and he also grew up with these movies when I remember the time before these movies were around. I was going to the movies. So
Mhm.
I think that's why when we have these discussions, we do come at them from a different place and we have different views. But somehow along the line, we are pretty darn close on the
Yeah.
end result, which is kind of funny how that works.
Yeah. Yeah. It's showing somewhere our DNA is still the same. It's just
That's
we're
right.
from the same family still. But anyways, yeah. So thank you for giving us that little bit of an update to our
Yeah.
podcast and how it's being structured. The only other thing I would say is I don't have any plans right now doing my own separate branch segment like my brother does, although I do have a couple ideas, and I'm actually inspired by Screen Crush and Ryan Airy because I love listening.
Mhm.
If you're listening to this dude, I love watching your videos on your breakdowns or what you would do differently and things like that. And sometimes when we're in this gap of between Marvel movies and we're thinking about the what ifs or this could have been better if you do this, my brain kind of goes on a little tangent. And before I know it, I have like a 5 or 6 page document on my computer that says, this is going to be a She-Hulk movie. This is what I would have done. It would have been different than the TV show or things like that. And so, I'm kind of inspired by that. If I ever do a little thing on the side, do something like the mirror dimension where it's not gonna, I think that's a really cool scenario. I like how my brother used the dark dimension for all horror related stuff.
Yeah.
My mirror dimension type thing will be more like, these are what ifs, or these are, hey, this is spitballing from my brain on what it is, and all the people with power do what you're gonna do with it.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I love hearing those type of things. I listen to those routinely on how could they have fixed a movie, what's different people's perspectives and points of view. And so I might throw my 2 cents in there one day with my own segment. But
Very
right
cool.
now, we're just focusing on this part. And I also have been thinking about too, a way for you guys to get more involved if you want to. We've said before, if you want to donate to us, that would be great. We would appreciate that because we're just using iPhones and ring lights. We don't have any new equipment. Even my computer, I found out recently, needs to be updated in order to do some of this stuff. So this is just a hobby of ours too. We're not at work right now. We're actually,
Well,
this
we
is
have
our,
full-time
yeah,
jobs on top of this.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Full time, 40 hours plus jobs. So we're thinking about ways to expand our way of you guys interacting with us and giving you either exclusive content or giving you something like a membership tier that's on YouTube that they have access to, something like that. Like you could become a variant of our multiverse type thing,
Like that.
like something that
Yeah.
plays along with our whole theme. So yeah, we're talking about it, and when things start rolling out, you'll be the first to hear about it. So
Yep.
all right. Well, I think we're gonna segue on from this to our multiverse minute
That's right.
segment. All right, welcome to our multiverse minute, even if it's 45 minutes, news section of the week.
Oh yeah.
All right, so let's dive right in there, guys. This is just our weekly news section that we're just going to break down anything that's come out. We'll touch upon, there's a little bit of rumors here or there, but the main thing is the news and what is actually happening at the moment. And so I'm going to start off with the first one, and then maybe my brother and I will just go back and forth on each one and
Sure.
go from there. So coming up, filming, or not filming right now. Some people are filming it. The CinemaCon 2026 is happening at this very moment that we are filming
That's
our
right.
episode. So, what are we expecting from this?
Well, from my perspective of the CinemaCon, or from what I understand of it, is this is the studio is kind of appealing to the movie theaters themselves. So this is where you get a lot of real good juicy stuff because they're really trying to get the movie theaters to invest in the movie and in their promotion and all sorts of stuff. So this is where they're not afraid to show a lot of what they got going on or what's coming up. I think some of the better, juicier things we get are at CinemaCon rather than than a Comic Con because the Comic Con kind of caters to the idea of teasing. Your Comic Con stuff, they want you to be excited and they're going to give you just enough. When at CinemaCon, it's like they're kind of proving that they have enough. I think we're going to get, I think they're going to get a full Avengers trailer at CinemaCon. I don't think we're going to get a full Avengers trailer for a while still. I think we're still going to get a main teaser trailer, but I think they get a full Avengers trailer at CinemaCon, or maybe a full teaser. But I think it'll be fun to break that down when they start talking about that, which we will. We're going to stay away from any kind of leaked footage because unless it's an official thing, we don't want to show anything that's not true, but we'll definitely break down anything that comes out of that when it comes down to describing it because we're going to be interested too. I'll tell you, I wouldn't be surprised if they show Spider-Man to these people. They've been known to show whole movies. Oh, hey, look what we got. If not the whole movie, the first 30 minutes or so, for sure. You hear that a lot, I think they're going to get they're either going to show Spider-Man. They might show He-Man because that's a big one that's coming out, anything big coming out. I bet you Mortal Kombat shows, because that's already been changed, like release dates because of their confidence in it. So they might show that movie too, just to say, hey, look, this is why this is so good, and which we have fingers are crossed it is because I'm hoping it is. I think that's what's going to happen with CinemaCon. It's usually how it goes. It's not really for us kind of people or the movie news people, but they still let those kind of guys in because, the more you talk about something, the more free press it is, right? But because this is more for the movie studios. So I think we're going to get some juicy things for sure.
I think what I like about CinemaCon is you might hear some people online saying that cinemas are dying in the industry type thing because everything's going to streaming and there's different ways of studios now being able to connect with their audience. And I understand that the industry itself is evolving, but what I like about CinemaCon is it's really showing that there is a movie theater going experience that we experienced more growing up and even now that they still want to keep fresh and alive. And so that's what this whole thing is about, is that the studios are coming together and they, as the studios, are presenting to these movie theater heads and to those AMCs and Regals and Cinemarts and Tinseltown, all this stuff about what they're doing. And then that's usually when either deals get made or the hype gets real and they know what movie they think is going to be the hot one because they put on a good show. So, of course, and Disney in particular has been known to put on a good show for these movie studios, or sorry, for these cinema studios and things like that.
That's right.
So, I think that we're definitely gonna get a lot from James Gunn, I'm sure, regarding the future of DC.
Yeah, I forgot DC probably front and center too. They might even show Supergirl.
They might show Supergirl. They might show segments of it. I mean, they've been known in the past to last year bring Spider-Man out on the Sony panel. That's when they first announced that Brave New World, I believe, was coming, and they brought him out, and all this stuff happening. I won't be surprised of how much they're doing of Doomsday and what they already have, that they have something big planned.
Oh, yeah.
It's like an industry known, I wouldn't say secret, but it's talk within the industry that we've heard already from all these cinemas that Doomsday is going to be their biggest movie of the year.
Oh.
And I tell you, Disney, Marvel, Kevin Feige, they're not going to underperform when it comes to pitching their movies to the cinemas. They're going to put on the show. This might be a bold take, and it might not ever happen, but my prediction would be they're going to show a trailer to Doomsday, and they're going to have new cast announcements. And some of them may even walk on stage.
You think they'll do cast announcements at CinemaCon?
I think to bring up the hype, especially if there's a specific actor that's probably already there for another studio or another movie that's there, it's easy for them, like a Tom Holland, to walk out on the stage and say, guess what? Spider-Man's also going to be in Doomsday. I will not be surprised if they do something like that, because I think as much as some people enjoyed the chair watch of 2025, I don't think that they would go and do that again, although it would definitely get us talking again. So that maybe what they want to do was very successful. But I think their marketing strategy is going to be changing here and there just to keep up with some new flavor of something, to show us. And I won't be surprised if they announce someone maybe we didn't even think about is going to be in this movie, even though it's one or two characters, just something new. Maybe we might even see Chris Evans walk out on stage, just making his first grand appearance besides that teaser we saw in December.
Yeah, I think that's very plausible. I think anything could happen when it comes down to how they want to present Doomsday, right? I think it's more likely now that they would, whether between now or San Diego, I figure now would be the best time. But it is more likely that they do more cast announcements if there is more. I mean, obviously there's more than what was on Chair Watch, or we wouldn't have Captain America because they left him completely out, and here he is still in the movie. So obviously they had ideas of hiding things from us anyways from the start, which they do all the time, which is fine. And also with reshoots, maybe at the time Chair Watch happened, these people weren't part of this movie yet, and now they are. So if I were them, I might have the entire old cast of X-Men come out and present Doomsday, and have nobody from the Avengers. Just have the entire old school X-Men guys, all of them, come out and be like, by the way, we're all in this. And check out the new teaser trailer. And let it be an X-Men heavy one. Because if you want people to go see this movie, that's who's going to go watch this movie.
Yeah.
Then the next trailer would be a Avengers heavy trailer. And then no more trailers. Like, just give us the movie.
Yeah.
I kind of like this. I don't want to know what's going on, and I actually kind of want them to save as much of Doom as possible. I said Doom, and I apologize. I want them to save as much as Doom as possible. In fact, if we don't hear him talk or speak or barely see him between now and the movie opens, I think I'd be okay with that. I'd like more surprises out of that than, because if we get too much of him, I'm going to be like, ugh. We're going to pick it apart too much, and it's already the idea of him being Tony Stark, maybe not, maybe his, Robert Downey Jr., blah, blah, blah. We even going to see his face. I think that there's a lot of questions there. Just let us experience that as it rolls out in the film.
Yeah.
And, because I think that there's a lot of possibility that we do get more cast, so I think you're right on that.
Yeah, I definitely think that whether it is here at CinemaCon or it's at San Diego, Marvel does put on a good show when they do San Diego. Now, from my understanding, I don't think they did San Diego last year. There was one of these years recently that they skipped it.
Or it was very minimal, right?
If anything, it didn't have. But when they put on a show at San Diego, I tell you, it is like, we as Marvel geeks are like chomping at the bits on looking up the newsreels as it's happening in real time. Oh, they announced this, and every movie, usually the cast comes out. So I know that is one of the dreams for me, is maybe next year. That's what I'm predicting, is next year they're going to start rolling out what their Phase 7 and onwards going to be, because all we have is Secret Wars next year, and they are already, by the end of this year, rumor has it, they are starting to film one of the new movies for Phase 7, probably X-Men, which is the hot take right now, the most likely one. But I would not be surprised if, I don't think this year, because of the hype they're trying to make for Doomsday, they're going to do something like that, because they don't want to overshadow Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Dr. Doom type thing. But I do think next year at San Diego, that's my prediction, we're going to feast on Marvel.
Yeah, I agree with Sam. I think I've always wanted to go to one of them. We've kind of had a taste of Comic-Con going to one in Rhode Island that we really like.
Shout out to Rhode Island Comic-Con. You guys do a great job.
And we like it a lot. We're thinking about going this year to that again. I'm thinking very seriously about it. So it just costs a lot of money, folks. So sometimes it's hard to do, but I think we can make this one work this year. And when it comes down to San Diego, I'm going to hold my decision on whether I want to go to that until I see how good Doomsday is. If Doomsday just rocks it and kills it, then sign me up. Let's go. Let's get our tickets way ahead of time. If it doesn't, then, man, I'm just going to wait it out with everybody else. Because I just want to be ready. It's because it's not like we're going to be able to afford to really meet a lot of these people.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah,
but both. It would be nice to be there and experience it like they do, like the fans really do, and how much they like it.
Yeah.
Then I can wear my Fat Thor costume again. So I have an awesome Fat Thor costume.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, you were pretty hot in that Fat Thor.
I couldn't believe how many
costume.
pictures people wanted with you.
Yeah, people were like, "Oh, we need pictures right now."
Yeah,
and you look just so perfect for it. Anyways, so yeah, that's what we're that was our 2 cents on CinemaCon 2026. It's happening right now. And by the way, with that mentioned, if something like a Doomsday trailer does come out within this next upcoming week, we are doing a quick, hey, this just came out. We're getting together right now and doing a quick video for you guys so you get to see our reaction to it and our 2 cents to it. So
if something that big happens, we will do an extra video.
Oh yeah,
and so keep your eyes open this week, particularly for any kind of. If it's nothing that's really light shattering, we'll save it for next week's, multiverse.
Yeah, if they show a trailer to the audience, but it's not released to the public, on their official platforms or anything, we're not going to show leaked footage, but we are going to talk about it because at that point they've made it as news. It's just not video news. You know what I mean?
It'll be a big feature next week.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe if the leak footage they discuss is real big, maybe we will do a video on it. So let's just see what we get first.
Exactly.
Go from there.
Yeah. All right. So take it away with the next thing on our news.
All right. So our next news thing is something to do with Chris Evans. Go figure. Chris Evans indicates that he is in the next one, quote unquote, and will be shooting very soon, quote unquote. What does this mean, Sam?
I mean, of course, the internet went abuzz when this happened. I remember watching the video of this. I don't know if this is who he was talking to or this is just some lady reacting to it. There's this woman that you hear Chris Evans actually say these things. So, and I don't think it's an AI generated thing. I think he actually is just saying, hey, I'm filming stuff. If you want to be a skeptic about it, you could say, oh, these are just reshoots of Doomsday. That's what he's meaning. He's in the next one, meaning he's in the next shoots or whatever. I think this is Secret Wars, and everyone else seems to think he is confirming he's going to be in Secret Wars too. And we've always speculated Secret Wars is going to have everybody. So
most likely,
I would not be surprised if what he's filming. Yeah, I'm sure he's filming Doomsday reshoots, but I think he's also filming some Secret Wars too. And he just let the cat out of the bag, but being very vague about it. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah. These kind of news things, I'm real careful with because he could be talking about anything. It might not even be him. From what I understand, this is a recording of him saying this to someone who's not even a news outlet. So it's kind of like, I don't know. What's it mean? He's in the next one. It could be the next Harry Potter. I have no idea. Obviously he's probably talking about Captain America. He's probably talking about his stuff. I think it's kind of a no-brainer though that he's in the next one. I mean, if you're going to bring Captain America back to fix your mistakes, because we know that's why you did it, Marvel. I'm just very cynical about it. I personally would not have ever brought him back, but I see why you are. And I'm not saying it still can't be amazing. It can be amazing. It's just, we just gotta just be careful with what he did before, because what he did before was chef's kiss. So don't ruin this. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna do something with it, let's do something real good. Because that's just that ending of him dancing with Peggy, and it just goes. I'm like, oh man, I almost wanted the universe right there to just end. To be like, let's no more, just stop. You know what I mean? Like,
we like bold decisions, so we don't like stupid decisions.
Yeah.
So.
But I understand why he's back. I think it will make for a fun story. I think he's awesome. I mean, he is Steve Rogers. I'd like him to come back and just take the shield away from what's his face, and then we'll just leave that till we get to that movie. But yeah, I think it's no brainer. If he's going to come back, I mean, why not bring him back for both these two that are so close together? I mean, if you're talking he's back for the next Avengers movies, but he's got to wait 6 or 7 more movies, then that could be that's probably not what he's talking about. But you're talking these 2 movies are so close together that I bet there's characters that we have in this one that they've even filmed some of their stuff for the next movie for timing wise. Excuse me, for timing wise, because it's going to be hard to get done later for the next movie. I mean, they do this stuff all the time when it comes down to franchise kind of things. I think we're going to get Robert Downey Jr. back as Iron Man in Secret Wars, to be honest with you. I don't think he's going to go further than that. I think it's going to be some sort of time complacent, blah, 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 whatever they're going to use to make this movie awesome is what they're going to do, and if they're smart, they can do that, just give us a good ending to Cap. If he doesn't end and he stays in, that's even cooler. I hope Chris Evans does it till he's 90. Why not? It's like we're going to have Hugh Jackman till he's 90. I don't think we won't, because I feel like there's so many things we can do with that. He could, even if he just shows up here and there or something else, or however, he's going to do these for a long time. And so, yeah, I don't want to read too much into it, though, because we don't know what this really means. We really don't know.
Yeah. No, we don't. But it circled around and something came out of it. So we had to bring it up for our part of our news segment here.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Because it probably is. That's
Yeah.
really what it comes down to. But his character is still alive in the Knives Out series in Netflix, and they just had a successful third one of that, and they're already talking about filming a fourth one of that. Maybe that's what he's talking about. So
Well,
it could have been a whole different movie, folks. We
Speaking
don't
of
know.
characters still alive, we haven't heard that Steve Rogers, the MCU Steve Rogers that we know, that we saw at the end of Endgame, Old Man Steve, we don't know if he is actually deceased or not.
Yeah, we don't.
That super soldier serum is supposed to help you from aging so much too. That's why he looks the way he does, and he's just shown his age from that. And that's another reason why I'm a little worried about how they're doing this with bringing him back type thing, because Russo brothers already kind of insinuated he went back and had the life that he always wanted to have. And so I don't want to mess that up. But
Well, they got
we don't-
time travel now,
yeah.
so there's a lot of MacGuffins that we got to get across.
And they have variants. We don't even know if this is the Steve Rogers from Earth 616.
That'd be their biggest mistake, though.
You don't think they'll do a variant? Steve Rogers?
I'll tell you, that'd be the worst thing to do. Yep.
All right.
I mean, does that set well with you?
No.
If you get into the movie and it's, hey, by the way, we're not touching that Steve. We're just going to pull Steve out of a different place.
Yeah.
I don't know. This variant thing works well with some, but not with others. When it's that iconic with that character, it's, I don't know. I don't know. If you're going to bring him back, bring him back. I don't know. That's why I struggle with this multiverse thing. Because sometimes it makes the stuff they've done feel not as important. And when you start doing that, you start losing me as a viewer. Or at least someone that not as passionate. Like, I'll probably watch these until they really go off the rails. They really got to go bad. But passion-wise and loving them wise, yeah, no, I don't want a variant Steve Rogers. If we're going to get a variant Steve Rogers, it might as well be a different actor, different thing. I'd rather that than him. Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe that's how I feel. I'm saying it's their thing. They can do what they want, right?
If it comes to that where he's a variant Steve Rogers in this movie, I don't know honestly how I feel about it for that purpose, because I feel like I can separate the Steve that I know from the Steve they want to tell. I feel like I knew that from Wanda, from Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, that they were able to do a variant of Wanda, and I was able to know, okay, I love Wanda, but I know this isn't the same Wanda here, things like that, So I don't know. It's definitely a possibility, but I don't know what they're going to do.
I think my issue with it more is just they can't be exactly the same. So if we're going to have that Captain America Steve Rogers that we know, we need the one that we know. If you just bring in a new guy and we just say, okay, he's just a variant played by the same actor and stuff, and he's exactly like the old Steve Rogers, then you want to just have the old Steve Rogers back,
But I can see that as part of
variants. They're all a little different, even though they're the same underneath, and they have, like, even in Loki, when you watch that, they're all a tad different about who they are and what they're doing and where they're from and what they think. And maybe we'll get a whole different version of Steve Rogers. Maybe that is the big swing they'll make, and that might be something I'm in for. But I really,
it could be something as simple in the movie. And again, we don't know what the movie script is.
We have no clue, guys.
Yeah, we know some people online that say they've read the script. Cool, good for you. So we're just speculating. And you could probably tell us if we're right or wrong, or I'm sure you won't even want to touch that with a 10-foot pole to keep your people and
Best part is just him saying these couple of quotes that might mean nothing got all this talk out of it. So if it is anything, fantastic. If not, then man, we just talked a lot about and just talk about nothing. So who knows what it is?
I think that's a good way to segue then into just our next topic.
Yeah, go for it. So because we'll stay on that all day.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, and this next one we'll probably would stay on all day too. So we're gonna have to control ourselves here.
Yeah.
But the MCU's X-Men films, the X-Men film has confirmed its writers, at least these writers in particular. According to director Jake Schreier, Beef creator Lee Sung-jin, and the Bear writer Joanna Callow, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, are currently rewriting the script. Schreier wants, quote, ideology and soap opera drama to take center stage in the script, in the film. So what are you, as X-Men fan, probably more than MCU fan.
Oh, yeah.
What is your 2 cents about this?
So, and adding any kind of talent to something is good. And this, have you watched Beef or The Bear? Either one of those?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but is Beef the Netflix show with Ali Wong?
Yeah. Yes.
I have watched Beef.
Okay. But you haven't watched The Bear?
No.
Okay.
But I heard about The Bear. Isn't that something about a kitchen?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
I've seen both these shows, and The Bear is one of my favorites.
And The Thing is in The Bear.
That's correct.
Evan Boss.
Right. Yeah.
The Thing.
Sorry.
You're in a pentagram.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. We'll get your name correct. Yeah, I've watched both these, and I'll tell you, they are excellent shows. I thought Beef was great. It was strange, weird, out of nowhere. I like that person style writing because I feel like there's a lot of spontaneous stuff going on, which makes it neat because I feel like that person will take swings.
Yeah.
And put out maybe even too many, and then someone could say, let's bring it back a little bit. What I love about the writer of The Bear being involved in this is if you watch The Bear, what a character-driven show. His show is great. It has that dramatic soap opera feeling, but new age. So it's not like your daytime soap opera feeling. Okay. It's like what you want to see. It's very realistic life, kind of what these people are going through. And that person writes those characters so well in The Bear. Probably top 3 best TV episodes I've ever seen in my life comes out of that show.
That's big praise, especially in connection to something we're deeply passionate.
And I've seen a lot of things, guys. And The Bear has an episode in season 2 called The 7 Fishes. And it is one of the best TV episodes of a show I've ever seen in my life. It's so good. It's laugh, cry, laugh, cry. I mean, and John Bernthal is in it. There's got quite a cast in that role. And John Bernthal plays a great role in The Bear. But my point being is, back to the news story itself, is this is great because these writers are fantastic. And what makes me excited about that is that's the kind of touch we need for the X-Men. We need those nuances that the person from The Bear that will bring about these characters, because I don't want my Cyclops to be one-sided. I'm not saying Marsden did a bad job. I think he was the closest to doing the best, to be honest. Obviously he is the best Cyclops we've ever had. And hopefully, we're going to see more and be even better. But yeah, to be able to have that nuance in there, especially when it comes down to him and Jean's relationship, I think that the Bear writer is perfect for that. It's perfect for the Bear writer is perfect for the inner dynamics of a family that's going through something really hard, that has inner turmoil, but still finds a way to bind itself together, because that's what The Bear is about. And that's the X-Men, folks. So let's get that. I like to see that inner turmoil between each other, where there's, there might be some struggles on how they work together, what they decide to do, but ultimately they're a family that work together for a bigger purpose. And in the Bear, it's like those epic moments where they come together and it all works. You want to stand up and clap for them, because you're like, yes, good for you. And that's how we want to feel when it comes down to an X-Men movie. We want to be cheering at the end of the movie, like, yes, you're the X-Men. You know what I mean? Like, we want that. And it makes all their little inner moments inside, makes those bigger moments even better, because they'll feed into each other. Yeah, and Beef that writer will bring the spontaneity of something new, bigger swings, something crazy that makes you, I can't believe that just happened. And then they'll be able to bring it in with the other. I think it's a great choice. It's either a great choice or this will be their first mistake, because from what I consider what these two people have been involved with, it's been fantastic television. So I can only imagine it's going to be a fantastic movie in that sense. It gives me a little bit of light, because I dread this X-Men movie probably more than anybody else. I know Sam's close by, but I really dread it. He's seen it in my eyes when we talk X-Men that I almost don't want it to happen.
The light is going. It's dimming.
But this gives me, okay, hey, look, if you put the right people behind it, you are going to get a good movie at the very least. And this shows me that they are, at the very least, taking it very seriously, because these are very serious writers with 2 very seriously epic good shows, for sure. I highly suggest Sam you watch The Bear. I really do. You'd like it a lot.
I will. I am curious. I was curious about it for a while, but now that I know that these are going to be some of the same creative minds behind writing the X-Men, which is like so near and dear to my heart, that I definitely want to see what their style is like.
You will be excited, I promise, because
Yeah.
you'll be like, those are the depths I want them to go in with X-Men.
Yeah.
You'll see what they're doing.
So the thing that struck me about this news, because I'm glad that my brother broke down these two people and what they're credited for with Beef and the Bear and things like that. Because I didn't know anything about them to that regard. But when Jake Schreier says that he wants ideology and soap opera drama to take center stage, two things come out at me about that. Soap opera, I'll touch upon as the first thing. X-Men, anyone who reads X-Men comics, it is nothing but a soap opera. And some people, that's cool, that's good, and it works great for the comics themselves. I mean, how many times in the comics has Jean Grey died and come back to life? How many times now in the movies has Xavier died and come back to life? So, like, I mean, soap opera stuff is kind of baked inside X-Men. It's just finding a way to make that appealing to your broader audience. And I think that if these writers are any indication of what you just said, they'll know how to take the best elements of that and put it into a worthy script for the X-Men. That's what my hope is, and that's what I'm looking forward to in that regard. The ideology part is the only part I would say that concerns me a little bit, only because in this hyper-politicized world that we live in now, and X-Men definitely touch her whole core was on civil rights and touching upon the times of things and why they're using mutants as an example, a fictional example of the differences between us as regular humans and how we could coexist or not coexist. That's the only part that I am just worried about, because we get enough of politics in our daily life that when I go to watch an X-Men film, yes, touch upon it because that's going to be what it's supposed to be about. But my worry is they decide to weaponize that into an agenda for us to shove down our throats for the 2.5 hours we're watching this movie. So what I will say to um to kind of combat that a little bit is I love what Fox did with the X-Men in that regard. They made it where it was mutants versus humans, and some of those social, political struggles, they were there. They were front and center, but they didn't alienate anyone watching them. It didn't matter what side of the political spectrum you are or the social spectrum you are. You could watch those films and you don't feel like you're being attacked on either side. And I think if they take that same approach and blueprint that they had in the Fox X-Men, because let's face it, Fox is actually a great example when it comes to, oh, did these work? Did they not work? Did the X-Men work? Did the Fantastic Four work? That's a great example because Fantastic Four did not work. And you see how many times they tried to reboot it to make it work, and they just couldn't do that formula the way the Marvel so far has been able to do. But X-Men did work. The creative team behind that with Bryan Singer, sometimes Simon Kinberg. I have to say sometimes. I'm sorry, dude, but you do have some bad taste in my mouth still. And Lana Donna Schumer and some of these other people that were the creative geniuses behind the X-Men films. It worked. Matthew Vaughn comes to mind. I think it's Matthew Vaughn, who's a director of First Class.
Yeah, Matthew Vaughn.
Yeah.
And don't forget Feige.
Got you right.
Yeah,
yes.
from the beginning.
He was. Yes. Yeah. He was a producer on them too. So, like, they had some blueprint that actually gained the fan following, such as my brother and I, where we're so passionate about them. And we actually liked some of the creative things they did with them. We want to see some things change a little bit or maybe expand upon. Cyclops is a good example, give Storm a little bit more of a front type thing. But like, other than that, you have to be able to blend that connected with everybody in with whatever this quote unquote ideology is that you're going to be doing. So that's my only worry going into this is, are they able to do as successful in that front that Fox was able to do? Because regardless if you like the Fox X-Men or not, some you loved, some you hated, they were pretty consistent on that part, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that other than that, though, everything else so far, it sounds really cool. And Jake Schreier showed he was a great director, and I think to a degree a writer on the Thunderbolts. Maybe not a writer, but I'm not sure. He was definitely great at that film, and I see why it highlighted from Marvel. Oh, we can use you for a bigger team than Thunderbolts type thing. And so I'm excited to see what that's going to be like, and I'm
If the
excited to see
action
these
looks
teams.
good. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I'm hoping, look, excuse me, like with you, I'm hoping that when they talk about the ideological stuff in that, I'm hoping they're still just referencing on how they work on their personal dynamics with
Yes.
it being mixed in. Um, yeah, I think that we're gonna be very surprised to see what they do.
Mhm.
Hopefully they keep us interested. You know, there's the characters of Magneto and Xavier are the two that hinge the most on how you feel about them, about ideals of where it comes from.
Mhm.
And if that's not believable or felt like it's earned, then that's where the X-Men will fail.
Mhm.
The rest just fall into place because they follow those two. But if we don't believe either of those two in what they're talking about or feel like it's an earned situation or an earned topic, then that's where it's going to fail the most.
And I'm telling you, Fox and Bryan Singer got that right.
No, so
That
right.
it was like the chef's kiss
For
you
us,
talked
at
about
least.
earlier. That was a chef's
Yeah.
kiss for them in
I mean,
particular.
just Patrick Stewart saying something wholesome as Professor Xavier makes me tear up. It's amazing.
And what
I
gave
just
me
love
hope,
it so much.
what gave me hope in that is when Professor Patrick Stewart as Xavier in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness said the same line that is echoed throughout all of Xavier's sentiments in the Fox films. That gave me hope that at least Marvel Studios recognizes there is something about those Fox movies that we want to definitely
Yeah.
ingrain in our version of them. It's just how they're going to do it.
I have no doubt they know why we love them and they know what worked.
Yeah.
I think their problem is how do they mix it in with what they've started in the MCU now.
Yeah.
I think that's what their biggest hurdle is. Now, how do we get them in this universe that makes sense? And then it's easy to go with, So we'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, moving on from that, why don't you take it away? These are some of our honorable mentions. We have 3 of them to discuss with you. So why don't you start off with the first one?
So Marvel Animation reveals a promo poster of X-Men 97 Season 2.
All right. So from my understanding of this, and I don't know, have you watched the first season of 97?
I actually have, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I like it. I think it's good. I think it's I struggle with cartoons these days. It reminds me so much of the old one, clearly, because that's what they're trying to do. That it was a good thing to put on in the background and enjoy and watch. And it just makes me want that Cyclops so much more. This Cyclops is so awesome. And
that's amazing. Cyclops.
He is so good. And I think, and because they're doing it with that, I know they know that's how you're supposed to do Cyclops. So folks, we're going to get some great James Marsden Cyclops stuff coming, I promise. I think I really am convinced that that's going to be awesome. So, yeah, I'm excited for it. Like I said, it's not top tier excitement for me because cartoons and I have a weird relationship. But it's X-Men. So, I like the nostalgia feeling of it. I enjoy it a lot. I think it's a lot of fun. I think they're going to bring some new characters that are like new characters of now and put them in like an old style feeling, which I think will be really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I liked the reboot of 97. I will not imagine. I already saw it. It was good. So I did like it. I liked that what they did with it. I had a couple critiques about it myself personally, but that's not anything that took away from my whole experience of watching it, because some of those episodes, like spoiler alert, Gambit's death, oh my gosh, that was just what a good episode. Emma Frost finally getting her second mutation, which shows that she's going to be around a little bit longer. She's one of my favorite mutants of all time, by the way. So whenever I see something related to her on the screen, whether it's cartoon form or movie form, I either am super critical or I'm eating it up. So, but it's just the first season I thought was really done well. I didn't like some of the creative choices they did, but they took some big swings for some of these episodes, and I did like the creative choices they did. So, it definitely, regardless of how you felt about that first season, it ended on a big cliffhanger on what the heck is going to happen.
Yep.
And it was a cliffhanger that everyone unanimously said, we want to see what the next thing is going to be. And this teaser poster of season 2, which we haven't gotten a trailer, but the trailer is out online on leaked cell phone footage because of the New York Comic Con that happened last year. They showed it, but they never officially released it. So if you were one of those people that did see it, we're not going to show that footage right now until they actually release it. But from what I did see, it was really good looking. It was, and I'm excited
to reaction when it comes out officially.
I'm excited for some things they alluded to, such as Apocalypse coming back and things like that. He's one of my favorite characters, but I like the version of Apocalypse in the animated cartoons in the 90s, and it sounds like they're bringing that same one back.
Sweet.
And again, that does not translate well for the movies, so anyone who doesn't like X-Men Apocalypse the film, I'm sorry, I have to disagree with you on that. But anyways, I'm not going to get into that right now. We're going to save that for that film.
That's a hot take according to everybody else.
Yeah. Well, that's a hot take I'm willing to burn on because
right.
it's passionate. Anyways, so cool. I like seeing the first official glimpse released to the public. I'm excited. I am sure that by San Diego Comic-Con this year, we're going to see a full trailer. If not, I believe the whole season is supposed to come out during the summer. So they might even premiere the episode there, and then it just starts on from there. We don't know their schedule, but I'm excited to see it. Yeah. I had the privilege to, I will just say as an honorable mention, of meeting the cast of this show at a comic convention.
That's right.
A couple years ago. I went with two of my best friends to Rhode Island. Again, great comic convention. And I have those pictures proudly displayed in my office and in my living room of meeting Lenore Zan. And there's just, childhood memories just coming to life.
I miss that Comic-Con with them. I kind of wish I didn't, but
yeah.
We're good people.
Yeah, well, he's got to go to the next one whenever we go again because they're just fun to do. They're great fan experiences, and
we'll do a bunch of clips from it too for you folks if we go.
Oh, totally. Yes. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
Sure.
So
I'm going to read the next one too, Sam, since I can't see the others, so you can do the last one. Okay,
you got it.
So next one here in Marvel news. Okay, Marvel's television boss joins the Escape podcast to discuss behind-the-scenes deets on She-Hulk, zombies, and more.
Yeah, so in that, do you have anything to say before I jump in?
Sure. I will say this. I haven't watched these guys. I just discovered this podcast, and they get my blood pressure up a lot. So no offense to you guys. You guys are doing great, but sometimes you have some takes that make me want to reach through the screen and just pull you down to the table. And but I think that's the point, and that's you guys are doing a great job. So keep doing what you're doing because it's very entertaining. Also, like awesome guests that you get for sure. But I did go and I made sure to watch this clip for today, so I knew what was being said. And I don't understand this guy who's doing this. This is what kind of fuels my frustration with the TV stuff. He wants more She-Hulk. Like, what did he watch? What he made? What they made? I mean, it's not good, guys. I mean, everybody knows it's not good. I know there might be people that could say it's not as bad as you say, and I'm with you. But deep down, dig down deep, guys, it was awful, and he knows it. He wants more of that. I mean, maybe he wants to correct it. Hey, you know what? Do another season and make it better. I'm in. I'll give him a shot. I like a lot of the stuff from it. There's things in She-Hulk that worked a lot. She's great as the character. CGI was okay. I can let CGI go for it being a TV show. You know, the Abomination stuff was iffy, but you had Tim Roth. That's a big actor. You know, Juan was very fun in it. I think he fit in that kind of realm real well. Other than that, it was a real crappy show, guys. So I just started watching Zombies actually this week for fun. I'm not, because I was never going to watch it, but I turned it on, and it's a good time. I would definitely want more zombies. I think it's a good time for an Elseworld or just this, you know, it has nothing to do with anything. Just have fun with your characters. I've enjoyed what I've seen. You know, once again, it's an animation thing for me, but it's been fun to have on in the background. And I watched one actually the other night, and I surprisingly was invested. I'm like, wow, this is really good.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, give us more of the zombies. I will take more of that for sure. That's the kind of stuff I want to see as this, really. I want the X-Men 97s. I want the zombies. I want the What If show to be longer, actually. You know, She-Hulk, no, I don't want that. You know, so that's all I got to say about that.
to piggyback off of what you said, Well, first, I have to mention I do watch the Escape Pod podcast. I started watching their clips when they were pulling up on my YouTube, and then after that, I'm like, I gotta see more of these guys because, we're Marvel nerds. I'm a huge Marvel nerd, so to meet two Marvel nerds through my phone would be like, oh my gosh, you're doing the podcast that we want to do, type of thing, And now we're doing it. So I think that's really cool. I commend you guys for putting on a good show, and yeah, my blood gets boiling too. But
Cool.
what I love about it is that sometimes you hit points that my brother and I are saying, but it's not generally out there. And so I appreciate those other voices. But then you say things that I'm like, oh, why?
Their take on the Dark Knight universe with Christopher Nolan, you guys.
And this is no hate, by the way. This is just us. Everyone has different
You
opinions.
are one of 9 people that feel that way, just so you know. You guys are great, but there's nobody else feels that way about those movies except you guys.
Yeah. But even then, I appreciate you guys. I love tuning into your episodes and everything. So, and I did watch this full episode because I do like watching them anyways. Yeah. And I think this is really cool that you had the TV boss on for Marvel. And I was very interested to hear his takes on some of those shows that did not do well. And She-Hulk was one of them because I have a love-hate relationship with the She-Hulk show. The love part is I love She-Hulk so much that I was anticipating her show. And then when we got it, I'm like, okay, strong first episode. When we do retrospective of the She-Hulk show, because we are in our March to Doomsday, we'll dive into that a little bit more. But there's just I would like to talk to someone that Brad here had mentioned. I think his name is Brad, right? Did I get it wrong? I am so sorry if I got it wrong. But I don't know if it's mentioned on mine.
Yeah, we didn't put it down. Yeah.
Anyways, I'm just gonna say your name is Brad for the moment.
Yeah,
I would love to see someone who is not a fan of Marvel, that just likes television in general or comedies in general or things like that. I would love to hear their 2 cents on the show if it's exactly what Brad said it was in that episode, where, according to him, it hit with the general audience really well and is one of their highest performing shows, but the fans did not like it. And obviously, this is a good example of your fans are your base. And if you get your fans excited about something and liking something, you will get more people that aren't even normal casual fans of the show to start liking it. So it's interesting for me to hear that when you type in She-Hulk on YouTube, you see all the negative stuff about her. Some of it is kind of uncalled for, I agree, but also some of it is kind of valid. And to hear that this is internally one of their highest rated shows, I want to meet someone who's watched the show and just likes it and doesn't know a thing about Marvel, because I just have not yet met someone like that.
It's an interesting inquiry. Yeah, I agree. I think they're going to hate it just as even more because it leans so hard on needing to be in that Marvel universe. But the problem with it is I think you're going to get, somewhere between the 8 to 16-year-old younger kids that would find it more appealing because it's almost like a TikTok, the whole show. It's so ridiculous and out there and jokey. It's not serious. That's your general audience you're getting for that. And that's been we'll get into it more when we talk about the next news one too. This has been my whole beef with the TV show thing in general. Is you're catering to a specific audience with the TV shows on purpose. And I get it. Do that. But that's not what your agenda is with the movies. So your movies, you've done a very good job at making them accessible to everybody almost every time. When you make Guardians of the Galaxy, you got young kids to people that are 60 saying this is awesome, right? You're not going to get that 6-year-old liking She-Hulk. He's not going to like it. And you might get the young kid to like it. So then if She-Hulk has anything to do with the universe, there's your problem. Here's your issue. It's just the clarity of where that universe of the TV show stands and align with the movies is the issue that we have on whether we like these shows or not. I'm definitely a heck of a lot more critical about the show thinking that I'm going to need to know this as I go into the movies. If I watch this show knowing it has zero things to do with the movies and it's just a show to watch, I wouldn't have been as hard on it.
Mhm.
I'd be like, that's unique, not for me. Pretty cool. Go watch it.
Yeah, I think in my opinion, that's the point. I don't mind. I actually kind of like this idea of what the original intent of the Disney Plus shows were. You take those, what people would view as the B and C tier characters that
Yep.
aren't your breadwinners that can helm a film type thing, and you want to explore what they're like while you have those actors here still portraying them, and do a 6 to 9 episode thing, sometimes half hour, sometimes an hour, depending on what it is. I think that's really cool. The only thing gripe I have on it is when they start saying you have to watch the show in order to get the next movie. Because like you said, everything from movie wise, you could jump from movie to movie and you have the great experience. Sometimes, yeah, for the hardcore fans, you have to know what happened in the movie prior to that, but you didn't have to watch a whole show prior to that to figure it out. And what I like about the show thing too is like you have Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel. You have Daredevil, two completely opposite type of characters with their own unique style. And if you like those characters from the comics, or you like that style of TV shows, you will like those shows. But then when you put them into the movies, I don't want to have to rewatch those shows or educate myself on both characters to enjoy them in the movie. And I think that's what Marvel has done wrong.
Well, what they've done wrong is not so much what you don't want to do. It's that they've never made it clear to you if you have to or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's one thing to be like, I don't want to either.
Mm-hmm.
But if they told us from the start that we had to,
Mm-hmm.
then we'd understand that, okay, we got to accept this and do what we can do. And we probably would have, when on board, still been as critical about it. But at
Yeah.
least we know what we're getting means something later.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I loved the first season of Loki. Loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Until I found out it really isn't that important. And then, there's things that happen in Loki that made me think, why is this not in a movie?
Daredevil.
When it branched off and I'm like, oh my God, this is huge for the Marvel Universe. Come to find out it's not that big a deal because, it's not really part of it. Wait a minute.
But now, is it with
Now it
Doomsday?
is, right? Because
Like,
when we go into Doomsday, Loki's supposed to be. So do I not have to see any of Loki to go into Doomsday?
mm-hmm.
They haven't told us this yet or not. Or yet they have actually said they've even went back on it with Wanda. We'll talk about it in the next one. It's like the WandaVision thing. It's like, hey, you don't need to see WandaVision to watch Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Yeah, you don't. You really don't. Although the kids thing was kind of like, whoa, where'd that come from? But you really didn't have to see WandaVision. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to know anything about Vision still being alive, you need to see WandaVision.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Thankfully, this next thing we're going to talk about is a show. But yeah, for the Wanda point of view, we actually have firsthand experience of someone who didn't watch the show and went into Doctor Strange thinking,
Yeah.
What's this of Wanda? She's a villain now. She has kids. What's all this? What movie did I miss? And be like, you didn't miss a movie. It was an epic show. Probably one of their best rated shows, in my opinion, they've ever done. But the fact that you had to know the show in order to watch Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness to know where Wanda's coming from, that was the problem.
Yeah.
And I think that if they didn't do that, it would have made that movie 10 times better than what it was.
Yeah. It's like, guys, if you want free range and you want this guy here, Brian, let's call him, hopefully it's his name. If he wants more She-Hulk, the way that they did it, then Feige, you need to just come out and say, okay, guys, let's be clear. As of right now, you don't need to see the shows to watch the movies. You just don't. And then stick to that. Or you do need to see the shows and stick to that. Because that's where the confusion's coming in. I don't want another She-Hulk because to me, I think it's irrelevant. Personally. So, I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, and by the way, on all these, and we haven't mentioned it yet, but if you have your 2 cents on these things and opinions, please tell us in the comments below. Like and subscribe to this video too, because we definitely need that for growing our channel. And we're going to move on to the last honorable mention of our news segment right now. And I did not put this on the paper, so I'm going to do the best I can to read it from as far away as I am right now. But it looks like Marvel Studios has trademarked something called Infinity Vision. This happened at the end of March, and there is a lot of speculation of what this actually is. I guess under the trademark, from what this is reported, by the way, from what this is referring to is something of the studios of a movie themselves. Now, it is unclear if this is the title of a television episode of Vision Quest that's coming out later this year called Infinity Vision. If this is a new name for the Vision Quest called Infinity Vision, we have no idea, but it is an official trademark thing now that Marvel Studios has put in, so it is something they're going to be doing with it. It could even be a What If episode that they're just filming. We have no idea too, because that plays on to what If was showing, is that there's What If Ultron had won and had from Age of Ultron and all that stuff. So there's a lot of tie-ins to that too. But regardless of it, Ike, what is your 2 cents on this news?
Yeah, I really don't care. It's I would love more Paul Bettany as Vision. I think he's great as it. I don't think they know what to do with this character. I think that they brought him back in WandaVision just so they could have reason to have him in it again if they wanted to. And like I told you at the beginning before we even started, I'm like, Vision's still alive? It's like, Vision who? It's like, oh yeah, that guy. Yeah. Yeah, it's just been so long now where, yeah, I don't know. I don't think they know what to do with him. I don't think they've ever treated him in the way that made a lot of sense anyways. I think he's a great character. I love seeing him in the movies. I think they've always struggled with how powerful do we make him? How powerful do we don't? So we need to write his character in a way where he doesn't use his powers because of certain choices he makes because he's kind of too powerful. But we're starting to hit that with the MCU right now anyways, where we got some major powerful players and you kind of just like, at what point is too powerful?
Mm-hmm.
We got like 3 different kind of Superman level people in the MCU right now, kind of. So let's let's be careful about what we do with them, because you're gonna have to start dumbing some of them down, or what do you call nerfing them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is gonna make people upset, and at the same time, you can't put some of these people against others. So I don't know what they're gonna do when Jean Grey becomes a Phoenix, because that's it right there, folks. But of
Yeah.
course they're not going to do that though, because there's always going to be someone more powerful, right? So I don't know. I think that's the crazy thing about what's going on right now. So I'm curious. I'd like to see what they're going to do. It'd be nice to know, just out of curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
But frankly, I got no kind of stake in this. I don't know how legit. I think they're just saying it to make people think to keep him relevant, because I still don't think they really know what to do with him, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah.
he's not in these next 2 movies, that's not gonna make any sense either.
Yeah.
It's like there's certain things that aren't gonna make sense with him just gone right now. He's just White Vision. Where is he even? Like,
Mm-hmm.
they're not talking about this. No one's talked about this. It's one of those things that Marvel's done where they've overstepped and they're not sure what to do, so they just do nothing. So then later when they do something, they can't say they have continuity problems, which in itself is a continuity problem.
Yeah. So from my understanding of this show, and if I don't know exactly where I heard this from, but from my understanding at least, and please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below if this isn't an actual thing and this is just something that someone rumored to be out there said. Vision Quest is the last show that Marvel has done or is doing currently that has to tie into the MCU film continuity.
Is that official that they've kind of said?
The last thing that I knew of was that was the last one that they already had in production. Then they couldn't backtrack on it or fix it or do anything like that where they had to
So all
do
that
it.
crap and Ironheart we have to take to heart.
We do, yeah. Ironheart's gonna have some hot takes there when we get there, folks, and that's gonna probably be this November by the time we get to it, because that's so later on. But anyways, when we get to that retrospective,
one, so bad.
But yes, apparently that has something to do with the MCU too. But I'm excited to see Ultron. From what I've heard of it, even on that Escape Pod episode, he talked about
Oh, that's right.
Vision Quest, and that he's just been reviewing some of the episodes or something like that, and they're fantastic. They're phenomenal, and I'm excited. I like James Spader as Ultron. When we get to that movie, we'll definitely talk more about him. But knowing that he's returning as that villain, which is a really great villain, by the way, I am excited for some of those things. I'm curious exactly how they're going to do this show. So I'm taking it with a grain of salt going into it. And I know this is supposed to be the conclusion of their 3-show trilogy of WandaVision, Agatha All Along, and Vision Quest. So we're going to see how that results at the end of the day. But
yeah, bringing Ultron back's weird, right? I mean, I hope he's just kind of like a voice inside him that is part of him still, and it just like tries to like the good guy on one shoulder, bad guy on the other, and Ultron's just kind of like talking crap to him.
Well,
I think that'd be kind of fun,
I always believed that Ultron was still there. He's artificial intelligence, and yeah, the Division locked him out of the internet in Age of Ultron. But who doesn't know if he has a back copy? Like, come on, he's Ultron. He's supposed to be super
Yeah, and
smart.
Sweden kind of
So
did him dirty in Ultron, in Age of Ultron, so it'd be kind of
yeah,
nice to have him.
it'd be nice to see him back, and I like James Spader as it, so I think that's pretty
Mhm.
cool. So
Mhm.
I am excited to see that. I'm a little nervous about the CGI, depending on how they're bringing Ultron back, because that would be for a TV show. That's one of the things we talked about for She-Hulk, because that when you hear these shows having the budget of a movie, oh, that sounds cool. But then you think about it, these shows are 3 times longer than the movie when you cut them down. So your budget really should have been a little bit bigger if you're going to do these CGI epics type thing. But
Yeah, agreed.
either, anyways, just to put a pin on that, I personally think this is just an episode title of the Vision Quest show. Unless anything official comes out of
Yeah.
it that they're changing it, which that probably will be something at San Diego Comic-Con. I don't think that's a CinemaCon thing they're going to be talking about, because it's Disney Plus. It has nothing to do with cinemas, but maybe
This is definitely
yeah.
a San Diego thing.
Definitely.
I could see.
If anything, San Diego, or they have they have D23, which is like a month.
That's right.
About a month
Yeah.
later. That's a Disney-owned thing. That's where I could see something like this being announced. But
Yeah.
anyways, guys, question is for you. What do you think about all of our news of the week so far? What do you think of this episode so far? If you're watching this as a segment, you could watch a full episode right now on our YouTube, or listen to us wherever you stream.
Yep.
But what do you think of our multiverse minute of this week?
Comment and like down below. Hello, guys. Welcome to the Goodell Multiverse. We're here going to do our branch point breakdown of Daredevil Season 2, Episode 4.
Yes, we are really excited for this. So what are your first initial thoughts? Spoiler warning, by the way. And if you're just joining us for the first time, we do have an audio version of the podcast. You can hear the full episode. If you're just watching this clip, we have a full video episode we're uploading too. So please keep track of that. Like and subscribe and comment. It really helps us out with the algorithm and gets us out there. And yes, spoiler warning for Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Episode 4 on our branch point breakdown. So, what are your initial thoughts?
So my initial thoughts, I liked this episode. This was a very good episode. Its cinematography is great, which isn't something we've ever had a hard time with this show so far. This is definitely keeping my interest. I love the opening fight scene when he kicks when Bullseye kicks the crap out of those agents. I like the violence that it has set up. I have concerns about how big and grand this situation is getting. Other than that, I'm enjoying it a lot. I think they're taking some big swings, which makes me think, don't be surprised, folks, if Season 3 is the final season of what you're going to get out of this. I really think it will be. I don't think this show is much without both Fisk and Daredevil. I think you can have a lot of characters come in and out, but I think the minute you end Fisk's or, Kingpin's storyline, you're kind of going to get rid of the magic the show's got. And you're only going to be able to do so much with Kingpin before it's like, okay, when are we going to start repeating things? So I don't see the show having 4, 5, 6 seasons. I really don't. At least not without getting repetitive and boring. Because right now it's good. But how much of this is going to keep going? And if you build up to something big and then it doesn't really happen, that's kind of where a lot of these TV shows lose me. So I'm complaining about something that's not happening yet. I just see the formula so far. And right now we're in the middle of the formula where it always works well until what's this really going to mean? So I don't know. How do you feel about, but let's instead of talking about the show in a whole, I'll say the episode was good. Lots of chances, big things to come, but it makes me worry. We're only episode 4 and it's big things to come. And it's like, boy, how big can you get, without including other characters and then not including other characters that we can't have in the shows, I guess. So what do you think, Sammy?
Well, I have a little bit of a theory about that. So what I will say is the original Netflix show, and I think this is like a general sentiment out there, and I'm not saying this in any diss at all, because I do like season 2 of the Daredevil Netflix show, but season 2 of that show did not involve or revolve around Kingpin. I think he appeared in one episode as like, oh, I'm still here, and then he made his grand entrance in season 3 of that, saying, "I'm your big boss again," like I was in the first season. A lot of people online, when they're like rating each season of Daredevil, including Born Again, they always have season 1 of the original show, season 3, Born Again season 1, and then season 2 of the original show. So I think there's an audience for the show without Kingpin. I liked season 2 of the Netflix one, but the season 2 of that one, it introduced us to Frank Castle for the first half, and it introduced us to Elektra and the Hand in the second half. And I found the ninja stuff in particular very riveting, because Charlie Cox got to really display his martial arts skills using those things. And obviously we're seeing the Hand to some degree return in the MCU with a Spider-Man Brand New Day that we already...
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. Ninjas are definitely a coming, but is it the Hand in particular? That's yet to be determined. But 95% sure it's the Hand.
Yeah.
But anyways, so I do think that the show could go on without Kingpin. I don't know how interesting for the general audience it would be, though. And that's something that the writers are going to have to definitely tackle if they're going to continue the show and say Kingpin is done after season 2. I don't think he's done it after season 2 in the Born Again, by the way, guys. Whatever's going to happen at the end of this season, it's got to be something pretty big where they're filming the Defenders in season 3 for a reason they have to come back. The only time that they came together as a group in the Netflix show was for the Hand. And spoiler alert for that, they end up defeating the Hand at the end of that season. So but it's now, in retrospect, are they defeated as in they lost the battle but didn't win the war type thing? Or is it disbanded? That's yet to be determined. But I think that if they are planning a season 4 onward, because they're already doing season 3, that's greenlit, they're filming it, it's a done deal type of thing. I think whatever happens in season 3 that gets the Defenders together is going to be the launching point for Daredevil doing something other than fighting Fisk all the time. And so I'm curious to see exactly what that's going to entail. But regardless, going to this episode in particular, this is one of my favorite episodes of the season so far. And I'm going to make a bold statement right here that of the MCU villains, Bullseye is definitely within the top tier now. If you look at these scenes and how you see how his brain works. We saw it in season 3 of the original Daredevil show when he debuted. Great way to enter Bullseye. And I love that he's embraced this persona of Bullseye. That's one of the things I think is hard in both the MCU and in the shows, trying to be taken seriously, but also you have this comic booky name. How do you do that? How do you flesh that out? They just went full on board in this show, and it shows so well how it's just, you don't need to go into an origin of it. It's just there. His insignia is that Bullseye. He's holding that mantle. He's actually starting to look more like the comic book version of Bullseye, which I love that Marvel's been able to do, is to not make him look too silly like Batman and Robin-y, but also serious. And you could show these comic book panels on the screen and it looks good. And Marvel's been able to do that very successfully. So that makes me excited for the X-Men when they do decide to do that. But anyways, this show, fantastic. That opening scene of Bullseye drinking his milkshake and luring the task force there just to know how to take them all down. And oh my gosh, it was cinematic beauty. In my opinion, for a TV show, this is fantastic, and we need more Bullseye. He is just so good. Throughout the whole show, he's so good. And it makes it, I love about this is that he's not Kingpin's henchman. You know, sometimes I think in the Ben Affleck movie, he was looked at as he was sent by Kingpin, and his origin comes from Kingpin in Daredevil season 3 of the Netflix one. But he is his own character now, where even the Kingpin doesn't want him around. And worse so, like we saw at the end of Born Again season 1, Bullseye is willing to kill Fisk and now kill Vanessa, which I did not see coming. in this show. And
Fisk kind of killed Vanessa, but yeah.
I tell you what, I do like Vanessa. I'm one of those people that's like, I like their dynamic back and forth. We talked about in the last episode of their relationship and how interesting it is type thing. I did not see her death coming in this show. I did not see it. And I think that how they did it, though, was tasteful. This wasn't one of those offhanded deaths. This was one of those, like, another great scene when Fisk is boxing and he's won. Of course he's going to win. No one ever doubted that. But to see she shows up when she wasn't supposed to, he didn't want her to, and she's like, too bad I am. And it just shows the boss level mentality that she kind of is. And then to have that whole thing play out like in slow motion with everything, and it was so good. And it makes me wonder what's going to happen in the next episode, because now I said that in the beginning that Vanessa is dead. We really don't know. It looks pretty darn close that she's actually dead. But then again, this is Marvel, and this is just the end of a scene. But when you're laying there in a pool of blood, I think it's safe to assume it's not looking too good for you.
Yeah.
But anyways, I like this episode. The things that stuck out to me was that dramatic death of Vanessa and Bullseye's intense scenes. And I agree with you on the Charlie Cox, the Daredevil disguising himself thing.
Oh yeah, well, I love when he disguises himself as one of the crew there to go in and investigate the crime scene just to get his own clues. That's some smart writing and great acting by Charlie. I don't know if I share your same enthusiasm for Bullseye. I will tell you, I enjoy him a lot, though. I have no problems with him, and I wouldn't put him up against some of the MCU guys, though. Mostly because it is a show. You know, as of the TV shows, he's probably one of the best villains we got, for sure. But he's almost not a villain, right? Like, he is and he isn't. You know, he's kind of on his own side. Which is something I actually kind of like about this guy. Although I feel like he's not as smart as he should be. You know, Matt kind of gives it to him in this one. The whole, hey, look, if you kill him, you're just going to martyr him. And that's worse than letting him live. And I think Bullseye should know that, right? Like, he should understand that. But of course, I think we're dealing with someone that's a little more unhinged, though. And I think that we need to see a little more of that. So I agree. Give us more Bullseye. Show us a little more of him being a little wild, because I feel like he is wild. And I liked that feel of him. And it's a big deal. I think she's dead. I mean, if she's not, then it's a fake out. And how many more of those are you going to do for us? You know, that's where I start losing. Oh, now you're crying wolf, you know, and that's my issue with TV shows, is they do this often. And I'm always going to be very critical, folks. And I'm sorry. It's just a natural thing in me. I've watched too many TV shows that do this to me. And Marvel is no exception. Just because it's cool and fun, it can still be boring. And this isn't so far. And yeah, I can't wait to see. I mean, he's unhinged now. I mean, what the heck is Fisk going to do? She's kind of the one that kept him together, really. She kind of held back the dogs, right, in him when it was necessary. And she could call the dogs out of him if she needed to or felt like it was necessary. So now if she's dead, he's going to just lose. He's just going to do whatever. He's, you know.
That's the cool thing, I think, about this episode that they've really tied into it, is that the governor is not on the same side as Wilson Fisk.
No.
And Vanessa goes to visit the governor, and at the end of their conversation, she says, I can't get behind Mayor Fisk, but I could get behind Mayor and Mrs. Fisk.
Yeah.
So it's like it's funny that, I mean, we said in the last episode that she's not as diplomatic as Wilson is type thing, but I think she has a little more so of that in her, where she at least, she's showing him, I am an asset to you type thing. And I think that her soft approach to some of these things, against his crass or his demeanor, really, it plays, again, like I said in the last episode, to a lot of real life events too, where you might not like this one politician, but then you see him with his family and you're like, oh, they're not that bad, you know, type thing. It's the people you have around you. And I think that was really cool and pivotal, because now you have the governor now backing the mayor because of the wife, and now the wife is dead. Now what's going to happen?
Yeah, I don't know if it's so much is that she's more diplomatic, or as if it's the visual of it. because we see behind the scenes of her that they don't. If you think character-wise, they don't see that part of her.
Mhm.
I'll go back and reference the other show that we talked about last time, which was House of Cards,
Oh,
where she definitely was not as diplomatic as him, but she definitely helped him get a lot of places because it was her.
Mhm.
And she had a good face. But she was definitely the evil of the two of them. She was worse.
mhm.
You
Yeah.
know? And that's how I felt with this too, where she puts on that face because she doesn't appear as the evil one. He's got bad guy written all over his face. The way he talks, everyone he's around, everyone knows some people might believe he's doing the right thing for the city, and that's why they voted him in and all that. But the truth is they're all still kind of like, yeah, but I'd believe it if you told me he was corrupt.
Yeah.
But he's still helping. But
Yeah.
yeah, is he corrupt? Of course he is, but it's still working, right? She, though, you'd have to sell that. You'd have to sell that she doesn't look evil, which is the worst kind, I think.
Mhm.
And she's obviously not as evil because she does, when it comes down to their relationship, I think she's the most diplomatic in their relationship. She keeps him from doing wild things, I think. But then once again, that goes to my fear that we're going to get into is, I mean, if it's going to go all no holds barred, so to say, then what's the end game, right?
Mhm.
Don't promise too many big things because at some point that's going to run out and then you're going to be repeating yourself. And I think you're right. I never say never. There couldn't be a show here without him. That's true. Although
Mhm.
my argument is when you have a show that's, I will say Daredevil Born Again is working because it is with him.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying you can't end that and move on, but that's a risk you do in a TV show. The Walking Dead did that when they killed off the Shane character. And it kind of didn't do well in some people's eyes afterwards. I had a hard time with it too, because the whole dynamic of that was working. There's lots of shows that if you give the promise of this premise, a good example is like Sons of Anarchy. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, it's as old as hell, guys. Go watch it. It's good to watch, but the issue with the show is the whole idea is the main character finding out that the guy in charge of the bike club really killed his dad, you know? And what was the best parts of the show was him not knowing, but us knowing, and him almost finding out and us seeing how they cover it up over and over again.
Mm.
Some reason partway through this show, they decided we're just going to let him know. And it's, he's vowed that he's going to kill the man who killed his father. And then he finds out who it is. And then we go 5 more seasons of him finding out reasons why not to kill the guy. And frankly, it was kind of like, oh, so that wasn't that important. And that's kind of what it's going to feel like, even if, it's better off if you do end Fisk, you end Fisk and then move on. Don't end it with like, he's still out there, but he just lost his position. Because then it's going to feel like, well, you promised things that you couldn't deliver at this point. It's don't get repetitive. Take chances here. Get big. If you're going to go big, if you're going to allude to big, then let's get to that big. Don't be like, but there's one more thing, and there's one more thing, and there's one more thing. Because eventually we're going to be like, yeah, there's one more thing like 20 times ago.
Mhm.
What's the thing that's going to be that breaking point? And where's the new Avengers and Spider-Man if the Defenders are going to show up? You're just going to have a group of vigilante guys that all out war with the mayor of New York City, and there's no Spider-Man. And I get it, guys. I know I'm complaining. It's like talking into the wind with it because we can't have those characters. But that's kind of like, then why is Punisher in the new Spider-Man movie? And why does he even show up in the Spider-Man MCU proper? So those are my issues I have with it, but I'm trying to do my best to pull back from that because it is a show. So to bring it back and not worry about the bigger picture, because I am so nervous about it's so crazy. I have that problem. I get real nervous about the creative decisions they make. I would rather be a slower burn and not give us these big moments and it have a big moment ending. Like, to me, this episode felt like a season finale,
Mm.
not episode 4 of holy cow. I mean, so we're going to go through 3 episodes now of him being distraught that she's dead. And that, folks, is going to get boring for me because we know it's cookie cutter. And let's not be cookie cutter because so far you haven't been. So, and I'm not saying they're going to be. I'm just guessing. You got to have a lot of filler. I mean, so at this point, what's stopping him from saying, I don't even care what people think. I'm in charge. I'm going to do what the hell I want. Other than the Mr. Charles stuff, obviously that stuff's all going to escalate.
Mm-hmm.
But how far does it go before you start realizing, okay, you can only hit a pinnacle of something too far where, it's got to stop, or there has to be an end to a character somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this felt like wow, what a great season finale.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, so I don't know. I think that's what concerns me, is they're kind of giving us too much of the cake here. It's like,
Yeah.
unless they got some ultimate awesome plans, which I'm for,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll just make believe Spider-Man and all of them never existed, because we have to in some of these. My concern with the Punisher trailer I had was, there's a war going on in the middle of New York City and nobody shows up, so it makes me wonder, okay, I got to take myself out of it, out of that part of it. So just to keep in continuity of the show, yeah, it still makes me go, that would have been a great season finale, because now we got to wait and see how he's going to react to her dead, whether she's dead or not. We could have a whole half a year wondering even if she's really dead or not.
Yeah.
And to me, that keeps that hype going. It keeps that building. Those slow burn shows do that for a reason, because they know they can't just blow their whole package right there for you. We can't just give you the whole thing right away, So, and I feel like they kind of just played a lot of cards in this episode, which, you know what? That's fine. There are shows that can do that and do real well.
Yeah.
I just don't know if this is that show though yet. I still have that, there's moments where I'm like, this is very drawn out, and don't draw it out too far, because that's where it gets boring, and we're almost there. The cool thing is this episode was just a lot of fun,
Mm-hmm.
But could you do this episode again next week? I don't think so.
Mm.
It's like, I don't think so. I think it's you got to start giving us some sort of, I don't know,
Mm.
a path to a resolution, is the best way to go, or don't allude to it at all and let it be something that sets until it comes back, because when you build on something like this, there is an eventual eruption. And if it's not worth it, you're not ever going to feel that it was earned,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. I mean, we have a little bit of a differences there when it came to this, but what's kind of stuck out for me personally is that one of the problems that I think Marvel had at one point, and they've figured out ways to fix it, but I think depending on who's in charge or who's doing this or who's
Yeah.
helming this project, they have to keep this in mind, is after the first Avengers movie, they've now established a bigger universe. And so doing the solo projects, whether it's a movie or a TV show after that, you have to figure out a way, and the Infinity Saga is a great time with figuring out a way that you could do these without having to make them another Avengers level thing. The only misstep I think they had was Iron Man 3, and we'll get to that when we get to that. But for this show, I think that one of the problems would be if you just keep it to that mindset of this is always a bigger universe, then you can't make big crazy things happen if you want to make them happen, because you're always going to think, is Spider-Man going to swing in? Are the Avengers going to come in? Is Black Widow suddenly going to appear, the Yelena Belova version? Which, I mean, for all we know, they could, but whatever. Although we know rights issues with Spider-Man prevent some of that, but that's a him thing and a Sony thing. I think that in the bigger context of these movies and these shows in particular, as we're not going to know this until the show is done, like the season is done type thing, and more projects have happened, because we're still at the moment in this point where we have the Daredevil Born Again season 2 happening now, the Punisher directly after that, and Spider-Man Brand New Day, all three projects of which are happening in New York City. As you've said it many times before, poor
Don't
New
live
York
in New
City.
York.
Yeah.
MCU universe, stay out of New York City.
Yeah, it's Hell's Kitchen's hell. It's just
Seems like
horrible.
nothing happens in Miami. So go there. Even DC, stay out of DC. People turning red down there. Just go to Miami.
Yeah. But anyways, I think we'll have a better viewpoint of where the show is in the grand scale of the universe they've made after Brand New Day, in my opinion. Because I don't know if Brand New Day is going to address all those where Daredevil was, where Punisher was, when that timeline fits.
It doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to because it's a Spider-Man movie. But at the same time, if Marvel is good at one thing, they are good at being able to connect the universe and, to a degree, make it make sense continuity-wise, because that's one of the things they've strived on is, okay, you could do Guardians of the Galaxy because they're off-world. You could do Thor, his solo project, because he's off-world. And, if you have to keep Captain America here, you're going to add in Black Widow and Nick Fury because it's a bigger universe now. You can't just do a solo Captain America movie without expecting some of these other characters to show up. So, with that said, we don't know about Daredevil's corner of the MCU. He is the new face on the block for this. We have already seen him in the Spider-Man No Way Home movie know of Peter Parker. Well, at this moment, he doesn't know. No one knows, which is probably a beauty for the show, is that he doesn't have to think, oh, I'm going to ask Spider-Man, because Daredevil's doing his own thing against Mayor Fisk. Spider-Man is still kind of like a semi-Avenger doing his own thing, which we don't really know what he's doing now until we see his movie. Because for all we know, he could be in hiding this whole time. Or doing low-key things. And most of this, yes, this is in New York City, but he's the devil of Hell's Kitchen. So a lot of his home base and home stuff is in Hell's Kitchen, whereas Luke Cage is in Harlem and Jessica Jones is in, I don't know where she is. But we'll find that out probably in the next episode, to be honest. Because New York City is much bigger. And I think, if I remember right, he's from Queens, Peter Parker. Whereas Steve Rogers is from Brooklyn. Yeah. So it's still New York City, guys, of course, and they're going to go into all these other boroughs, but maybe they are trying to make New York City this big battleground, and he's doing his part over here, and he's doing his part there, and we probably just won't know all that until it's done.
Well, and I don't think they've done anything yet that makes you think you have to bring them in yet, but it's just like you're getting there, though. Like you're getting to a thing. I mean, and sometimes it's as simple as mentioning something is all you need to do. I would feel so much better if, like, during some of, like, in the beginning of Born Again, some of the campaign of why he's doing this vigilante thing has something to do with what happened in Thunderbolts. What a great campaign thing to use. Hey, you remember when that thing was up in the sky and we all, like, disappeared into our worst thoughts possible for that little bit of time? Yeah, people saved us, but it's that kind of stuff I'm trying to prevent. I'd vote for that guy too. All you gotta do is mention that. Just mention it. You know, and it's not mentioned, though. We literally had to look up when this took place. We shouldn't have to do that when we're watching the show, But once again, they're not asking us to watch Daredevil in order to watch the movies either. And I'm with you on what you're saying. Everyone's got their section of the city, but you're talking about Spider-Man, and he knows what's going on. He's doing his thing. I think we're going into the new Spider-Man movie where we're going to see that he's been kicking butt for a while as Spider-Man.
I think if you didn't have...
when you got things explode, you got a guy like Bullseye that kills a bunch of guys in a diner, Spider-Man's looking into it. But that's okay, because like I said, I will separate it. It's just low enough crime stuff that they're doing well enough that it's low enough. But when you start involving Mr. Charles, and now we know who he works for, now you're already stepping into some MCU territory there. So I just don't like the fact that they use it willy-nilly, where it's like, we're only going to use the MCU stuff when it's going to help us in our story. That it has to work both ways. You can't... I don't like that they use MCU proper movie stuff to push a story along in a TV show, and then they decide not to do it in the movies when they don't want to for the shows because they don't want to confuse us. But actually, you're confusing us more than you are helping us. So we're going to see MCU proper things come into TV shows a heck of a lot more than we do into the movies, really. Because...
But isn't that what we wanted? We didn't want to have to watch the show.
Yeah, but they got to tell us that's what we're getting. They got to give us that warning, right? Like, because we don't know. Because if she's in this or if she's mentioned in this, her character, and then she's in Thunderbolts, I mean, it's like, at what point do they mesh, right? Especially if you're going to have a group of defenders show up. it's going to get somebody's attention, especially hers, because there's nefarious stuff going on here with the Mr. In this episode. They're clearly, I personally think that they're smuggling weapons through New York City, and the Kingpin is someone that allows them to do it because he's corrupt and they know it, and Mr. Charles is there to keep him in line. And they're smuggling these weapons so they can finance wars overseas, because that's what, unfortunately, guys, today, a lot of countries do all the time. And the U.S. has been one that's done that before, too. And especially if you're corrupt in government, there's definitely, it's been that before. And this, I can't remember her name. What's her name again? Keep saying she, and you're all
Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
Thank you. Yeah, and obviously she's up to no good, right? We know she's up to no good, She's just in a position of power right now. So, yeah, it's just a matter of when does that mesh then? And if they do mesh. And they already mesh in the movies more than they do in the shows, which kind of bugs me. We got Punisher showing up in Spider-Man just willy-nilly. And we haven't even seen the Punisher special yet, which it looks great. But like I said, even in the trailer reaction I did, I'm kind of getting a little old of this Punisher that's kind of whiny a little. Like, I get what don't get me wrong. I know you guys are like, whoa, this guy's got a black heart. It's like, yeah. Yeah, hot take, guys, but come on, suck it up, Frank. It's like he's obviously how many people you gotta kill in order to be like, okay, I get it. Can't bring my son back and blah 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 blah, or daughter, whatever. You know what I mean? And his wife. I get it. But after a while, it's like, okay, just be the Punisher. Just be him. Accept the fact that you aren't gonna eat a bullet and that you're gonna kill bad guys and be that. And that's probably what he's gonna do in Spider-Man. I bet we don't hear a lot about his family stuff in Spider-Man. Maybe we do a little bit between him and Peter talking, maybe. But ultimately, I bet we don't. But it's like, I look at that Punisher special, I'm like, yeah, that looks fun, but it looks like, oh, we've kind of covered this, right? Like, we get it, man. You got PTSD from the war, your family's dead, we get it. How long do you want to play that tortured character before let the tortured character become the essence of who you are then? And so, yeah, I'm kind of hoping that it levels out at some point, but we're not going to talk about that till we see it. Might be different and epic. It looks good. Still, I'm going to watch it.
Mhm.
Violence looks great. He's cool as Punisher. You just kind of like, yeah, suck it up, dude.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. It's not me having a black heart, but like I said, my version of the Punisher that I love from 2004, at the end of the movie, he's gotten revenge on his family and everything's all done. And instead of, offing himself, he says, you know what, I'm going to spend the rest of my life just murdering people that do bad things. And you can kind of tell that, sure, he probably has sleepless nights over losing his family, but he hides it with a bottle and a gun. And I'm like, that's the Punisher I want. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of what Punisher is. When you go read those comics, man, he's just a drunk guy out there killing dudes. And it's like, cool, that's fun, And so, yeah, either way, Daredevil, I mean, I think they're great in this. I love the boxing stuff in this. And the boxing thing is like always been a thing in Daredevil, right?
Mhm.
When you look at the old comics and stuff, Kingpin's always boxing somebody. There's even comic books where Daredevil and him are boxing together.
Matt Murdock's father was a boxer.
Yeah, so
it's like ingrained in Daredevil
the
lore.
lore. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. It's now that you're touching upon it, I love how the show has played up to, because it's very how do I say this properly? Good political ops for the Kingpin, because he's mayor. Not everyone likes him. Some people like him, so he's putting on this face. There's this propaganda machine going on to keep people liking his anti-vigilante task force, even though he's put in martial law. So I think that just played into it to be like, oh, and you could tell how the announcer announced him and all that stuff. They're very friendly to his administration type thing. Like, this is something that is a good PR stunt at the end of the day.
Yeah, I wish we'd see more of why people like him, because we just keep seeing the dark side of him. And I kind of wish there was a little more play with, well, I could see why he's winning some people, because I don't know. We only see the bad stuff.
yeah, but I think that's kind of the point of the show, is that
I get it.
We're supposed to, as the audience, because we know he's the bad guy, see all the corrupt stuff he's doing. But yeah, I do agree. I think that'll be cool to see what would his 60-minute interview look like, type thing.
Let's see a moment where you can see why he won that crowd over.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that would be cool. And the original Daredevil show on Netflix, I think they did touch upon some of that stuff in the first season.
They did. Yeah.
That it'll be cool. Yeah, I agree, to bleed that into this one now and you see it more so. But I just thought it was the whole boxing scene is
great.
Is Oh my gosh. I was like
And you notice how it
at the edge of
mirrored
my
her
seat.
dying, like, she's all in white with that red is the same, like, how she got him that painting, which was the
Yes.
bird with the white and the red. Yeah, it's like it's very poetic. They're doing a great these writers know what they're
Yeah.
doing, you know?
Well, just the boxer thing. I don't know if
Oh,
the
yeah,
boxer alive or not. I mean,
and he
that
messed him up, yeah.
yeah, and they were promoting him as this, he's always had a winning streak, like a big class thing. And I'm like, oh, part of me kept thinking, I bet Kingpin's gonna go a little soft on him because it's a PR stunt after all. As soon as he saw Vanessa walk in, it was like he already was like fighting
Yeah.
him. He was already amped. I think part of me thinks, honestly, Kingpin misses it. That's why he's doing it. Because now he could do it and get away with it because it's a PR boxing thing.
Well,
But
ultimately, he's
yeah,
a bad guy that is violent,
yeah,
and this is his way of being violent in public and not being
yep,
a bad guy.
yeah.
I don't think he killed the guy. I think he messed him up. Like, he
Oh, he
definitely
definitely messed
won,
him up.
but I
Yeah,
don't think he killed him. I don't think that would go well, with the public,
yeah.
but he definitely put him to sleep,
We'll
guys.
definitely need to see what the repercussions are in the next
Yeah.
episode because
And
I
if you
wonder what that
notice,
is.
Bullseye didn't really kill her. He did by deflecting
Mhm.
what he threw with his belt, and the pieces from that he deflected it with is what killed her. So I'm
I'm
not.
torn at that personally.
I know if Bullseye wasn't doing it, then it wouldn't happen. That's true, but I think that's a very key. I think it's very key though to look forward, thinking about. I think
I
he's
think
gonna feel guilt over it
I
as
think
well.
Bullseye calculated it because of how he never misses. I
Yeah, but
think
that's a little reaching, don't you
it
think?
it
'Cause
might be
you'd
a
have
little
to trust that he
reaching,
was
but
gonna do that, and I don't
yeah,
know. I got you. I don't think so.
that just might be me.
I think if Bullseye was gonna kill her, he just killed her.
Mhm.
I know he wants to kill him too, but I don't think he'd try to mask it. There's no reason. The idea of him doing what he's been doing, why would he try to make it look like he wasn't killing her? I think if he was gonna kill her, she'd have been dead too because of him doing it. I think he tried to kill him and he deflected it, and the deflection of it ended up killing her. And that's what's going to make him feel guilty because she came to the thing. He didn't want her there. She came anyways. He lost his cool, punched the guy out, wasn't thinking, hit the thing, and it killed her. And he's going to think, you did this to me, when really it's a lot of his own fault that it's happening. I think you're going to see some guilt from him out of that because they're going to milk that for a couple episodes of the
Mm.
guilt of it. And I think that that's smart to do, honestly, because I think that's the side of Kingpin we need to see, and that we've kind of getting alluded to this, some of the good in him, that if there is any, there's some of it is gonna come out of he can't deny the fact that, well, that came from me hitting that, you know, even though he's not going to ever admit that, and he's going to blame
Mhm.
Bullseye, right? Technically it is Bullseye's fault, I guess,
Mhm.
but, semantics, right? It's like but if she was the intended target, I don't see why Bullseye would mess around to make it look like she's not.
Mhm.
Like, why? Just get her right outright, I don't think she was supposed to be there.
No, she
General.
wasn't. She
Like,
wasn't.
I think Bullseye was there to kill him, because I don't think he thought she was going to be there either.
Hmm.
So I think it is all just oh, wow, I can't believe that just happened.
I think that event we'll have to replay it to confirm it, but I think that when Bullseye threw that glass thing, he was throwing it at Vanessa, and Kingpin blocked it, but in blocking it, broke it, and pieces still hit her.
Okay, I feel like I saw it differently. We'd have to watch it to see, but okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's from what I
Yeah.
remember of it.
Yeah.
Because I just remember when I was watching it in the moment thinking, oh, he saved his wife. It just broke into pieces. And then the reality of when the camera turned right and you see one of the glass crystals stuck in her head, it was like, oh, you didn't save her.
Right.
She still got hit. And I don't know
Yeah, see, it's hard to tell, right?
but that's what I would have
Comment below,
interpreted that
guys.
as.
Who is he going for? Maybe they want us to wonder,
Mhm.
because I definitely saw it like he was trying to kill him.
Yeah.
'Cause
I
I don't think he thought she was going to be there. And then when she comes up out of nowhere like that, it was like, oh, but at the same time, yeah, I just figure it goes along with the argument that him and Matt were having about whether they should kill him or not.
Mhm.
I thought that was the whole idea, so interesting. See, maybe they did that on purpose. Maybe they want you to wonder.
Yeah.
Maybe that's an answer that'll never be answered. They've done that in some movies I like, where you see a point of view and you see another point of view and you're kind of like, oh no, which one? Even you as a viewer start questioning yourself on what does that mean? So interesting.
Yeah, we're very curious. I mean, I'm very curious exactly to see what that was about and who killed who. And to our listening audience, by the way, I did pull up the clip real quick just for us to see a moment to clarify who did what, who was doing what type thing. And
by the way, the action in this scene is
Yeah.
great. The cinematography, the choreography of the fighting is fantastic. I love how things are flying around. Daredevil looks cool. There's a lot of fun stuff going on in this episode.
Mhm.
Like I said, it feels like a season finale, don't it? Like it's got that season finale flair to it that is a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was quite the vision to see how they put this all together, and I can only imagine the writers' room when they're writing this all down, like how is this gonna look and things like that. But he picks up this little.
Yeah, he picks it up. He's looking at
He's
him.
looking.
Boy, his costume is great.
His costume is fantastic. So he's throwing it now. She shoots him. It hits him. So he did get shot, but that is going towards Vanessa.
I don't know. I don't think she's
It
right
does
next
look like
to him.
it does look like it's going towards him.
Yeah, because where is
You're
she?
right.
She's not near her at all.
Yeah, she's at the other end of the ring, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah,
Oh, but I think it's him he's going for.
I think you're right. As I'm
And look
watching
what he's
again,
throwing
like,
at
yeah.
him. He's throwing this thing he's gonna kill him with the logo Born Again of New York City.
That's yep.
It's his own logo thing. He's gonna kill him with his own thing.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. So, guys, definitely comment down below. What do you think? What do you think if this was like Bullseye's intention of getting to Vanessa through Fisk and doing that? Because that was my theory in the beginning. It was like, oh, I bet he threw it, but his intention was it was going to go off. But I don't know if he's that calculating to do it like that. You know?
Yeah,
I don't think.
I think that's quite a trick. That's a trick.
Yeah.
He's done some really cool stuff that makes me go, wow, you got to be like superhuman.
Yeah,
which he is,
Mhm.
obviously. But
Yeah.
like that would have been a hell of a trick. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I'm more curious of, and we haven't gotten that yet in either season 1 or season 2 of Born Again, is at the end of the Netflix show of Daredevil season 3, Bullseye's paralyzed. And then it showed the scene of the little Bullseye with the lasers and all that stuff. So you know, okay, it's Bullseye. And they're doing something to fix him. I'm not sure what it was. I don't recall they ever even explained that, but I don't think in the show they've explained how he's been able to come back to normal.
I can give you an answer to that, which I think I've noticed now that I've been watching this show with you. I think we're in a soft reboot. I think what that means is
Forget that part.
Yeah, they want you to remember the characters because they're going to bring the same back and they're going to have things it's all happened. But the soft reboot part of it is we're going to pick and choose what we really care about meant. You know, X-Men did this with Xavier a couple times, soft reboot of, hey, let's forget they killed him because that was dumb. You know what I mean? And you know what? We're okay, whatever. You know what I mean? And then they thankfully Singer knew enough to do a whole movie to make that make sense.
Yeah.
But at the time it was like, oh, didn't he just die in X-Men 3? No. We're gonna pretend that he didn't.
Yeah.
Which is fine because it was dumb, right? He shouldn't have. Or at least that way. I mean, it's okay if he killed him, but that way? Okay, anyway, we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
What the hell? Anyway, so yeah. But yeah, no, I think you're looking at a soft reboot. So it's like that's an answer that do you need an answer for this to be good and continue on? I don't think you do.
No. If that's the case, this is just part of their soft reboot and doing it, then I feel like this is the only aspect that they decided we're just going to forget about. You know? And that happens in movies. Just like Xavier's a good example that we didn't watch Days of Future Past thinking the whole time, how's Xavier there? We were just happy he's
we
there.
didn't care. Yeah.
It just was. If anything, it was part of the reason why they did the movie is fixing some of the sins of the past type thing.
Right.
So, anyways.
Yeah, no, and I'm all for it, to be honest. I'm all for the soft reboot stuff. It can happen. You can do it. And they're doing it right because it's compelling and it's good. You know, and the stuff that they want us to forget about, I think, are things that we can easily say, yeah, it really isn't a big deal if you think about it.
Although I'm going to say to the creators, if you're listening to this or anyone on the staff there that's listening to this, don't do a soft reboot on Elektra. I loved her in season 2 of the Netflix Daredevil, and I want to see that actress come back.
I think you're going to get the same actress. I think it's going to be all the same stuff. They're just not going to do any building off of what they started before.
Yeah.
They're just going to expect that you liked what they had before, and they'll build off of that.
Yeah.
And then they'll go forward. So if there's any unanswered questions of hers, don't expect them to get answered.
Yeah,
That's
just
what a soft
expect
reboot
she's
does.
coming in,
Just
but it's
expect
not.
she's coming,
Yeah.
and she just has new things now. I think because that's what a soft reboot would be.
Mhm.
And that's what they've been. Really, that's what they've been doing.
Yeah.
I mean, you might get a recast. I doubt it. But
Yeah. Well, I
you did
doubt
get a recast on what's on Vanessa. So.
that's the thing, that I doubt
Yeah.
they're going to recast her only for that point, because when they tried to start Daredevil Born Again, and they were saying it's a reboot on them, but they're using the same main two actors.
Yeah.
And then they didn't have Karen in it at all, and Foggy.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden during COVID, and this was on the Escape Pod podcast when he was talking about this too, is that they saw the footage during the strikes, not COVID, it was during the strikes. And they said that we need to, we're either going to go full on in, or we're not going to do it. And they had too good of a show in the Daredevil Netflix show. They had to admit that, and these actors and everything was beautifully done. They were like, we're just going to go full on in. That's how we got the show we got now. So I don't think they are going to recast Elektra when they do make her appear. They might do a little soft rebooting of her origin or not even her origin, but of the events that happened to her to a degree. Crazy things if you watch the original Netflix show of Daredevil and Defenders. Elektra is a big part of season 2 of Daredevil and a big part of the Defenders. But I don't know if we'll see how we're going to see them build off that. If anything, if they're smart for storytelling wise, they'll use what happened to her in Defenders to do their own soft reboot without having to worry about the other stuff.
Yeah, and like I said,
you have to watch that to see.
With soft reboots, you really don't even have to. Just there.
Yeah.
They
But
each other.
when you watch
Hey,
the
remember
Defenders,
that time? Sounds good.
Yeah.
It's all you got to do.
When you watch the Defenders, you'll get what I mean by that, with what they did with her. But anyways, to conclude for this segment of the Branch Point breakdown of Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Episode 4, how would you conclude it?
Oh, yeah, great episode. This, like I said, felt like a season finale, which all season finales need to be good, and this one was a really good one. And obviously, it's not a season finale. And I promise, folks, I'm not going to go on a rant every single time we do an episode of why it doesn't fit in with the bigger picture. I'm going to reprieve myself from that and just take this as a show as it goes until they do something outrageous that makes me go, hey guys, what are we doing? But until then, I'm fine with it. I like it. I've been enjoying it. I didn't think I liked Daredevil as much as I do now. Of course, I'm a defender of the old Ben Affleck movie too. It's not good, but it's not bad. It's not as bad as they make it sound. They really make it sound terrible, but there's some really good stuff in that old movie. So, which I look forward to doing when we do our thing, because that'll be a fun one to pick apart and have fun. But with this show, I like this version of it better than I do the Netflix version. I do think it does revolve around Fisk and Matt Murdock. It's a very integral thing. And if that storyline comes to an end, it's got to be very well earned and very at a peak. I don't think it's something, you can't just put this guy in jail and let's just move on a normal day. I really think that would be doing the story a disservice.
I agree to that, because I think we've seen that in the Netflix Daredevil.
Yeah,
they put him in jail. They did the whole thing. Then he ended up being able to control the FBI. So then he got out. Now he's Mayor Fisk. So I do feel like if they
can't repeat these things,
there's only like two end results for Mayor Fisk at this point, in my opinion. It's either death, like an actual death type thing, or it's putting him in the Supermax prison, because he wasn't there before, because no one thought of him as a Supermax villain. But now you've integrated the MCU with this show and everything, that you have those as an option now. He could go where Abomination was sitting. But
I think the only other thing you could do that you might be able to get away with is he kind of gets away and we don't know where he is.
Yeah.
And
that's kind of
that would be a little cheap, but at the very least, that he can come back later. It's like, oh my God, he's behind it again.
That's what they allude to.
That could work.
The Echo show, because that's kind of how they explained him away from the Netflix Daredevil to the Disney Plus Daredevil. Is that where has he been in New York City? If he's still a presence, he's been doing, which Echo probably shouldn't have just ever been made. Honestly, that's my hot take. But anyways,
I agree.
Sorry.
I just feel like he's a big enough and liked enough character by the fans that you don't want to kill him.
Well, talk about soft
unless
reboots.
you're ending, right?
Talk about soft reboots. At the end of the Hawkeye show, Echo straight up shoot him and looks like it kills him.
Yeah, I know.
And
yeah.
now he doesn't even have a scar about that, or at least no mention about it. Yes, exactly. So it's like,
or it's not even in his campaign say I almost died before. Like, I mean, that's so many things.
I think that's a good idea. If they made a mistake in that show for that reason, they made a mistake, and they're like, we're just gonna forget about this part now because you can't kill the Kingpin like that in his Marvel MCU debut.
Which is why they've never really been able to kill Loki, right? It's
Mhm.
not because it's not because the story always calls for it. It's because
He's too big of a
everybody
character.
likes him, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So if you kill him, it's got to be epic enough.
Yes.
You know? And we technically did see the death of the Loki we know, and it was epic.
It was epic. Yeah.
You know, but even
Just like
then, they
Thanos.
still were like,
It
we
was
still got to have this character because he's really cool. So they still brought him back in a different way, which
Yeah.
I think is earned and worked.
Mhm.
Very risky, but worked. You
Mhm.
know, so yeah. But how many times you gonna be able to get away with that? You know what I mean? I feel like if you, I don't. It's funny because I always give the MCU issues. I say, listen, don't be afraid to kill people.
Mhm.
You know, because that makes better storytelling. But at the same time, I'm gonna also say, but when you do, make sure they're dead. For one, and for two, make it worth earned death. You
Yeah.
know, make it an earned thing. You know,
Yeah.
that's why I don't want Robert Downey Jr. to ever play Iron Man ever again. There's no way in my mind that you could end his storyline better than they have. We'll get there, folks, but that is true to me. It's if we're just gonna bring him back and we're using time, and here he is, he's alive, and he can have his daughter back and stuff, and I'm gonna be bleh, boo-hoo. I love him. I don't want him gone, but how perfect, right?
Yeah.
So like, and I think that's what we need to do. If you're gonna end Kingpin and end him, make it good and keep him gone and move forward. You know, if you're not, then
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, with that said, guys, that was our breakdown in our Branch Point breakdown segment of our Goodell Multiverse podcast.
That's right.
So please stay tuned. Next up, we're talking about Thor 1, the film, in a retrospective way.
Oh, yeah.
All right, everyone, we are on to our main event of the episode, Thor 1, a retrospective view. Oh boy. So this is going to be fun. Are you ready?
Very excited.
All right. So, I guess we'll start off with the history of the film. Do you want to do it? Do you want me to do it? Or how do you want to do it?
Yeah, I can do some of it. I can do it. Let's do this. You ready?
Let's do
it. All right. So a little history of the film. Okay. First off, we got Chris Hemsworth, Natalie Portman, Tom Hiddleston, Anthony Hopkins. There's a slew of other people in this too that, we're just, it's a lot. It's a great cast.
Mm-hmm.
The lead up to filming Thor marked a major turning point for Marvel Studios as it forced the studio to fully embrace fantasy and mythology for the first time after the grounded tech-based worlds of Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk. At this stage, Marvel was no longer just proving it could make movies. It was actively building a shared universe, and Thor was essential to expanding that universe beyond science into something cosmic and godlike. Big steps, folks. One of the most surprising choices was hiring Kenneth Branagh, best known for directing and starring in Shakespeare adaptations. Marvel specifically wanted someone who could handle the royal, mythological, almost theatrical tone of Asgard, treating it less like a superhero setting and more like a classical drama. This decision helped shape the film's unique blend of fantasy, family tragedy, and cosmic scale, making it feel very different from anything Marvel has done before. The casting process reflected a mix of unknowns and established talent. Chris Hemsworth was a relatively unknown Australian actor at the time. Aussies are the best at acting, by the way, just so you all know. You want to hire a good actor, if he's Australian, you got him. Anyways, with only small roles, including a brief appearance in Star Trek, which was amazing, making him a risky but ultimately perfect choice for Thor. Tom Hiddleston originally auditioned for Thor, but was cast as Loki, bringing a Shakespearean depth and emotional complexity to the villain, something that would become a defining element of the MCU. Meanwhile, Natalie Portman, already an Oscar-nominated actress at the time, brought credibility and star power as Jane Foster, and was reportedly drawn to the project specifically because of Branagh's involvement. Marvel also leaned heavily into veteran actors to ground the fantasy world. Anthony Hopkins was cast as Odin, giving the film a commanding, regal presence, while Stellan Skarsgård added scientific grounding as Eric. I'll never say his last name. Selvig, thank you. Helping bridge the gap between Earth and Asgard. At the time, many of these actors weren't thinking in terms of a long-running franchise. They were approaching it as a standalone mythological film and strong dramatic roots. Just a little add-on for information on that, just so you know. Stellan Skarsgård has very big bloodline ties to Vikings. His whole family does, which is why they cast him as this and that, which was brilliant, if you ask me. Because he's, as you tell in the movie, he's like, as a kid, I heard these stories and all that. That's because his family, he did a really unique podcast on this, where they actually were able to go back real far to see where his Viking ancestors were from. It's just kind of neat. Anyways, It's a great casting. Awesome casting. From a production standpoint, Thor was a major leap. Marvel had to figure out how to visually realize Asgard, combining practical sets with heavy CGI to create a world that felt both otherworldly and believable. The studio also had to carefully balance fantasy with science, introducing the idea that Thor's powers could be explained through advanced physics rather than magic alone, laying groundwork for how the MCU would handle cosmic elements going forward. I just wish they'd do that with their magic. Fun facts from production highlight how experimental this film was. Hemsworth underwent intense physical training to achieve Thor's iconic look, and cosmic. Let's be honest. The design of Asgard was inspired by a mix of Norse mythology and futuristic aesthetics. And early on, Marvel executives were unsure if audiences would accept such a drastic tonal shift from armored suits to gods and realms, ultimately releasing into theaters on May 6, 2011. Thor represented Marvel Studios taking the biggest creative risk yet, proving that the MCU could expand beyond grounded realism into full-scale fantasy and still feel like part of the same universe. Now, as for the reception and the box office numbers, its production budget was about $150 million. Its global box office ended up about $449 to $450 million worldwide. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And when you break that down, it was $181 million domestic and $268 million international. Thor, it was solid, but not elite. Reception on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics score was about a 77%. Audience score is 76. Both pretty good, above average, I'd say. What that meant at the time is critics generally saw it as a good, not great entry into the Marvel Studios. It was praised for Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Tom Hiddleston stealing scenes as Loki, the unique fantasy Shakespearean tone from Kenneth Branagh, but it was criticized for being a little uneven in the pacing, especially on Earth, and a less compelling action structure compared to Iron Man. I say a lot of that's very accurate, but we'll get into that. At the time, these sources reflected that Thor successfully expanded the MCU into cosmic and mythological territory, was seen as a necessary building block for the Avengers, and didn't quite reach the same level of universal praise as Iron Man. In the big picture, folks, for Marvel Studios, this was another strong win. It proved audiences would embrace the MCU's shift into fantasy and cosmic storytelling. It was successfully introduced a new major hero and a new major villain in Loki. Mm-hmm. It continued building momentum toward the Avengers. While not as big as Iron Man 2, it was a solid success that expanded the MCU's scope in a major way.
Wow. Wow, what an opening. What a breakdown of the history of this film. I don't have written down here, which normally we do have the official synopsis of
Oh,
the
yeah, that's
film.
true.
Are
Yeah.
you able to pull that up on your phone maybe?
I
And we
may. I
can
will read that off. Let me pull that up real quick.
yeah, that's one thing. In my notes preparation, we always do a breakdown of the history of the film that we're talking about. Then we give you the official synopsis of the studio releases to you right before the movie comes out. That's supposed to give an overall, like, bite-sized glimpse of what the movie's supposed to be, and that's when we go into our full-on breakdown with seeing exactly what they do. So, what is the
All
official
right. So
synopsis?
our official film synopsis for Thor, Marvel Studios MCU, Thor 1. As the son of Odin, king of the Norse gods, Thor will soon inherit the throne of Asgard from his aging father. However, on the day he is to be crowned, Thor reacts with brutality when the god's enemies, the frost giants, sorry folks, enter the palace in violation of their treaty. As punishment, Odin banishes Thor to Earth, while Loki, Thor's brother, plots mischief in Asgard. Thor, now stripped of his powers, faces his greatest threats.
Mm,
Pretty good.
yeah. Yeah, pretty good indeed. So what are your first before we get into the film breakdown specifically, the production, everything behind it, them choosing Thor to be their next
Yeah,
hero to introduce, what are your thoughts on
I
it?
think this is Marvel's first big swing,
Mm,
I kind of we alluded to that in our little introduction there.
mhm.
Um, and yes, this was make or break as well. I'm going to say that a lot in the first phase because I think the first phase was a lot of okay, make or break, make or break. There's
Yeah.
a lot of but I will say this was the biggest stepping stone, and I think it shown that Feige was thinking ahead of time. That once he gained control in Iron Man 2, we learned that the power of everything got shifted to him. So this was definitely the next project. And this is, we would say, the proper first project where he was really at the helm. I think Feige was like, let's get this out of the way. This is either going to work or it's not. And they just took a big swing at it. And, and as we discuss whether we think it worked or not, stay tuned.
Yeah.
But I think that, yeah, I like that Tom Hiddleston come in to play Thor. I can only picture in my head what kind of movie that would have been, if he was Thor. I'm glad he's not, and I'm sure he feels the same way because he's fantastic as Loki. And I think this was a big swing, and you can tell they put a lot into it, and yeah, I'm glad there's not any huge kind of controversy behind this movie too. I
Mhm.
think this is the first one where we realize, oh, look, there's
Yeah.
no
Actually, there is.
questions of this guy shouldn't have been this guy. This one feels like the first time it all just kind of went as planned and thankfully was successful.
Mhm.
So,
I no, actually, in thinking about because this is the 4th film we're into of the MCU so far,
yeah,
um that's very true. There was no behind the scenes drama that's ever been reported
that we
about
know
it.
of. Yeah.
Yeah, all the actors have had a clean slate. There's not been any concerns of, "Oh, are we hiring this guy because of an issue in this past or something?" So, that's really cool to hear, and from my understanding, the cast got along great with each other, so there wasn't it's nice to see that, how do I say this properly? Is that well, we already went through Iron Man 1 with how risky that was, and it turned out to be a huge success. We already know about the problems behind the scenes of the Incredible Hulk and the problems in front of the camera, as we could tell
Yeah.
from our review. Better go watch that if you haven't watched it yet. Um, we're a little hard on it, but it kind of deserves it.
We're honest.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And then Iron Man 2, there was I don't know if there was any drama of that
well, there
that
was some type of
level.
drama because there was a conflict of power being resolved
Yeah,
in production.
yeah,
And it ended up with Feige by the end being the one in control. So,
yeah,
and I think Iron Man 2 was kind of filmed a lot like the first one, which is on the seat of their pants,
yeah.
and I do remember, I think we touched on it, but a lot of people don't really care for Mickey Rourke, not because he's a bad actor, but because
No,
of his
yeah.
antics. And he's a very hard actor to work with, which is why you don't see him often anymore.
Well, I think what serves well for Thor that didn't serve for Iron Man 2 is Iron Man 2 was kind of fast-tracked as a sequel because of
Agreed.
the success that they did. And I get that because they want to build momentum on it. Paramount Pictures is like, we're not going to sit on this while you're building your universe. Cool. We're helping you fund all the other ones, but we need a sequel to this one that we know is a guarantee is going to put
Yeah.
butts in the
I
seats.
actually think that that was what the problem was in Iron Man 2 that made Feige in charge. Because you notice after Thor, once Thor hits and on, we don't get sequels to these until they're earned.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Iron Man made big money, and the studio did what every studio does with these franchises is, oh, we need another.
Mm-hmm.
And then like in Feige's like, no. We need the Avengers first. And you notice from Thor on, it's like, don't even talk to me about sequels until we get to an Avengers movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh, that's smart, guy. Like
Mm-hmm.
we could easily get a Thor 2 before Avengers. Could easily got a Captain America 2 before Avengers.
Yeah.
At the rate they were doing the Iron Man and Iron Man 2, but they didn't. I think you saw a structure being built,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the first time that his formula was used,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the first time it worked.
Yeah.
And I think they've been repeating it ever since, trying to, and it's worked a lot, and did the MCU a lot of favors.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And for the casting of this, to go into that for a moment, because you talked about how Tom Hiddleston, you said it in the history that he had auditioned for Thor initially, and actually his audition tape is out there, guys, on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
so
check it out. It's great.
You should check it out.
Yeah.
When you're watching it, you're like, huh?
In a different world, he could have done it, really. But
he's a great actor, yes. But now knowing what you see, the look of Thor and the look of Loki and how they've portrayed those characters,
so good.
I don't think Tom Hiddleston ever regretted not being Thor type.
No, I think he loves playing Loki.
It's perfect for him. Yeah. And also apparently Liam Hemsworth, Chris's younger brother,
That's right,
was auditioning to be Thor too, and they both were neck and neck in getting it. And I will have to say I like the Chris got it over Liam. I like Liam. He's a good actor. He's just like his brother to a degree, just younger. But there's something about Chris Hemsworth in particular.
Well, no offense,
embodies Thor.
Yeah, no offense to the other Hemsworth boys. They're all great in their own regard. But Chris definitely is the better actor out of the group of them, and I think he's the funnier, and I think he's definitely more likable.
Yes.
Like I said, all you guys are great. Everything I've seen you guys are great. But Chris is definitely the best choice, I think, for this.
Yeah. The casting wise, I think they hit this nail on the head. It's.
Yeah.
I would say I think the only one, and we'll get into it when we get to that part of the casting weaknesses, strengths, and all that stuff. Even adding Natalie Portman to this, that it just like what your intro said, it brought a little more of an Oscar-worthy type actor to come into the role and all that stuff.
I might feel differently about that by the time we get to the end.
As you could tell, if you've been watching the show from the beginning, that we kind of have differences when it comes to the female leads a little bit here. But
I will say for the first time, it's not Natalie's fault that I feel this way. So it's not the actress, it's the problem.
There you go, Miss Portman.
Oh, yeah, I think Natalie's great.
Yeah, no, she did great in the Star Wars franchise.
You go back to like The Professional and stuff. She's such a good actress. Like in fact, I wish she was in more. I feel like the Star Wars stuff is what made her not be in more, because I would not, guys. You'd have to give me $10 million to even show my face in a Star Wars movie with the way the fandom is with it. No offense, you Star Wars nerds out there, but you guys are mean to your movies. Like
no, that's true.
I love that movie. I mean, I like Star Wars. It's great. I personally think The Last Jedi is probably the third best Star Wars movie ever made, and that's going to blow up the internet for sure, because everybody hates that movie, but I think it's amazing. But once again, you don't have to like it, but you guys take so much ownership where you got directors saying, I'm not going to do that. It'll ruin my career. That should tell you something, guys. Chill out.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but so moving on from that and everything, how about I break down Act 1?
Sure.
And then we talk about
I like it. Let's do it.
All right. Act 1, the fall of a god.
Oh, man.
So we're introduced to Thor, the arrogant and powerful prince of Asgard, son of Odin. When Thor recklessly reignites war with the frost giants of Jotunheim, Odin strips him of his powers and banishes him to Earth as a lesson in humility. His enchanted hammer, Mjolnir, is also sent to Earth with a spell. Only someone worthy can lift it. On Earth, Thor encounters Jane Foster, Eric Selvig, and Darcy Lewis, while struggling to understand human life. Meanwhile, back in Asgard, Loki discovers his true heritage and begins plotting to take the throne.
Awesome.
So, I'm going to say this from the very beginning of this breakdown. And I say this with respect, by the way. But this is in Marvel's early infancy of a cinematic universe. And they're introducing now a whole new flavor to the MCU with this movie. I do think, and this is just my opinion, and I know my brother might have a little disagreement with it, but I'm going to give my viewpoint on it. I'll say it from Act 1 to Act 2 and Act 3. I think they played this safe, but in a good way. I think they took risks. I think they took liberties, definitely. But for as an overall story of this film, just telling this one of the things that I would like to say about, I always say it, I should say, about comic book characters is that they're written already. Their origin really is already set. So as long as you could turn that into a cinematic experience, you're going to win me over, and you're going to win over comic book lovers and things like that. And I think Thor is a good example. One of many, because our next episode is going to be Captain America, and I already have my 2 cents on that, but we're going to rewatch it and do the whole episode like we normally do.
So excited to do that one.
Oh, it's going to be so good. But I think when it comes to these origin movies, if you just nail the main points of the origin movie and then have a little ad lib and fun with it, you're going to win people over. And I think this movie, it played it safe in doing that. They didn't change the character's origin for the audience, but it was how it's supposed to have been. So that's my 2 cents on it. But what are your thoughts on the intro to this movie, Act 1? What worked for you?
So what worked for sure is I love the very beginning of this movie. I like that we start off on Earth, and so we're already kind of with us already.
Mhm.
And then we do the Asgard stuff, and then it leads right up to where we're back right in the same moment that we started off on Earth. I think it's very smart storytelling.
Mhm.
And I'm going to start off right off the bat. They took a good lesson in storytelling from Peter Jackson when they do this Lord of the Rings feeling explanation of Asgard and who everybody is. What a good way of just a voiceover and show us stuff and just get us there. And there's no jerking around. There's no hiding Asgard. There's no hiding these elements. We're going to show you all of it in all of its glory. This is what they look like. This is what they're doing. This is how they are. This is where they come from. This is what the realms mean. These are the good guys. These are the bad guys. They've had a war for a long time. It just is, you're just like, okay, I'm in. But hey, sounds good, you know? And what's unique is I agree with you. They're playing it safe in the story wise, but visually, and they definitely are taking leaps.
Oh,
you know?
yes, I agree.
And
Yes,
also, the neat thing that Thor has going for it is it hasn't been told 300 times already. You know, that's something Iron Man had going for it as well, where, the Fantastic Four, we've had bad movies of them. We don't need to see a new reiteration of their origin story.
Spider-Man, we
don't
seen it.
need to see Spider-Man again. And Feige knows this. That's why we got the movies we've gotten with them, because we don't want to see the origin of them. With Thor, there's people out there that had no idea about what they know who Thor is from the mythology stuff, but how's it work on Earth again? And so they're able to take their liberties with how it works on Earth and with it, and just make it be what it's gonna be. And so this whole beginning's great. Everybody looks fantastic. This is the worst Thor costume, but I think all their costumes start out kind of meh, and they get better. Like I love how Iron Man's costume was in the others, but it always sounded like a machine. I like that it gets quieter over time where you don't hear the machine of it as much. Because I'm like in these first 2 Iron Man movies, every time he moves, it's okay, it's cool, and we get it. It's early on, right? But later on, it's a little quieter. You know what I mean? So it's okay. It makes more sense. It's a little more slick. And same with, it's in like when we get into Captain America, his looks like pajamas a little bit,
That's true.
when he's in the end suit, he looks like he's in pajamas, but
even in the Avengers movie, they kept
Yeah,
it because
even-
they're filmed back to back, so I
Yeah.
get it.
but as it goes, it gets a little more practical, a little more military, a little more, and it looks cooler, So like either way though, they all still work though, which is what's good about it. And you know what really stands out that works for me is the cast of people, like them as a group. Him and his buddies, all these guys.
Oh,
I got to tell you, I could see almost a whole Elseworld movie of just them on some big adventure.
see, that's
Wouldn't
the
that
one
be a
thing.
great movie?
That I tell you, when it comes to the Disney Plus shows and the idea behind Disney Plus of using some of those characters in the background that either become fan favorites or they're just not that relevant to the main MCU thing, so you could do fun stuff with them, like Darcy Lewis. We saw her in WandaVision. Great, you brought back that character, and perfect character to just add into the mix of something. But
Yeah.
I would watch a show on, I don't know what they're called, and specifically, I know there is a name for them, but I would watch a show on all of them, going throughout the 9 realms,
Just doing some stuff on some journey.
fighting battles, learn
Be
about
awesome.
them a little bit with Lady Sith and all the rest of them. Like,
Especially them as a group.
They're just, yeah,
Like, it's
and
so fun.
they're great with Thor, yes,
Yeah.
and have Chris Hemsworth cameo in the Disney Plus show. Go right ahead. That'll bring it some oomph and some viewerships, but also just them as a group. They're just
Mhm.
so freaking good that I'm like, I would watch them go throughout the 9 realms
Yeah.
and quench some fires that are out there on Odin's behalf and Asgard's behalf. That'd be so cool.
It'd be awesome. Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
great.
Oh,
And
anyways.
Asgard is awesome. Like, it looks fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell it's changed a little over the movies here and there, but overall it's about the same,
Mhm.
and it's really good.
Yeah.
Like, and I like, yeah, they're really, to me, that Lord of the Rings-esque opening
Mhm.
really helped this movie with 10 minutes of like a hard, frustrating opening.
Mhm.
You could have easily gone through this whole movie without that opening, and he slowly revealed who he is to them on Earth, and we kind of get all that story from him telling them on Earth,
Mhm.
which to me would have been the biggest mistake because it would have been a long, boring movie. But just to do it like that, but here we are, boom, we're in it. It's like, oh man, I'm in. Like, I almost didn't want him to go back to Earth. Well, let's just stay here. This is what I want to see, and
Yeah.
no offense. The Earth stuff is okay. There's moments in it where it's like, bleh, but
Mhm.
but that's okay because I think it's supposed to feel that way though, so I'm okay with that, But ultimately though, like that beginning, man, when they just do this whole here we are, I'm like, oh man, this is good stuff. This is really good stuff. And I do like the Frost Giant guy. Like, that works for me. The Frost Giants really work for me.
Laufey.
Yeah, Laufey, thank you. Yeah, he for the first time, I kind of like the menacing feel of him in this, and I went, "Oh wow," I never noticed how subtle that was, and how good that was. And man, I laughed so hard at that part where he says, "Why don't you just leave before I change my mind?" And
Mhm.
Loki's just like, "Yeah, we'll take that offer." And as they're walking away, he calls Thor a little girl, and Loki's like, "Damn it!" Like, great. Like,
I
I just
know.
love that because it's like,
Yeah.
there's no turning back now.
Yeah.
It was like,
Watching that scene, I'm like, oh,
I
you
laugh.
have to defend your honor. Like,
Damn it.
oh, it's so close.
Because Thor wasn't gonna let it slide.
No, and that's perfect for his character, the arrogancy about it. He goes against Odin's will to go to do this, and Odin's like, I know the diplomatic response to this. We don't do this, and all that stuff. It was really refreshing to see. I didn't mean to jump in there, what you
No,
were
you're
saying,
fine.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
So what didn't work for me though, is I do feel like Thor felt a little dumb. And I'm only gonna blame this on it's Chris not having a lot of experience yet, because he hasn't been in a lot of stuff. And I feel like sometimes he was a little over the top. And I get it, he is a little bombastic, and I know that the argument's gonna be that's kind of what he's supposed to be. It just for some reason didn't sell right every moment that he had a moment where he was, yeah, and it's okay to calm down a little bit. It's like there's some moments where I felt like, okay, that was fake. I didn't feel it natural. And of course, but you got a new actor acting with Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
What's going to look natural, right? But at the same time, Tom Hiddleston made it look easy. So I don't know. I think but that changes. Chris gets better as it goes. It works out. It all gets better in the end.
I'm only chuckling if you're seeing this because we have the movie on in the background while we're talking about it, and there's a still scene of Thor looking at Odin when they're it's actually in the same act we're talking about, and looking at Odin that just arrived to Jotunheim, and you see Loki's facial expression behind Chris Hemsworth right there,
Yeah.
and he just has this nonchalant like, father's here.
Yeah.
Whereas Chris is like, yeah. Anyways,
Great. Yeah.
yeah,
Great.
yeah.
That's here. Yeah.
Anyways, so
Yeah. So what didn't work for you? What worked for you?
all right. So I will admit when I was doing my little breakdown here, and we have our review form on our retrospectives, that I had a hard time with this movie finding too many faults. So I'll leave a lot of those comments to Ike, and if something pops in my head, I'll concur with it and everything and talk about it. But for me, what worked, because is kind of what I was expecting for a first Thor film, especially trying to get into the mindset of not only where was I, but where was the world at that time, where was the MCU world at that time for movies and stuff like that. I thought everything worked really well. I can't begin to express how well I think this film was as a good start to the mythological part of the MCU, and it hit every note for me. Seeing Asgard was just so beautiful.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's Asgard is one of those worlds, and that's why I think in the Disney Plus show of all his men right there, I would just want to walk the streets of Asgard just to see what it's like, their culture and everything. And we see as the Thor movies go on that you get to see a little more of a sliver of it in the second movie, in the third movie, even though it dies, it keeps going to a more about it. And it's just you could tell when you're talking about the age of the film, and that's like an overall thing that Marvel took big leaps with the CGI for it because of course they had to make Asgard look very heavenly to a degree, and there's only so much practical effects you could do with that. But even some of the other stuff they did, you could tell this is the first time of using heavy CGI in comparison to the Iron Man films. Like for Iron Man, I would say that the most CGI that had to be done were his fight scenes and anything involving his suit when it was in action. And you can tell that Tony was Robert Downey Jr. was walking around in a practical suit here or there sometimes. And then when action was happening, you could tell where they embellished the CGI elements, and they really could pour their focus in on that. So the CGI parts really went to that. Whereas for this movie, you had a lot more of a CGI background to some of the scenes. A lot more of the characters had to look like the Frost Giants. They had to look a certain way that you can't tell they were human-like. Like they were a little human, but you can't just say it was a blue person. You know what I mean? They had to be embellished to a degree. Some of the creatures in there is the first time we're seeing them in the MCU. So of course, you're talking about early CGI at that time. I think it holds up because the story was so good that, like we've talked about before, we could forgive CGI if we're getting a good entertainment value out of it, and that's what really saved this movie for the CGI part of it. But other than that, you could tell this is their infancy in stuff like that, and it only gets better when Disney started taking over production with Marvel Studios. They opened up a whole plethora of stuff that Paramount I don't think was just used to at that time, whereas Disney, they kind of built their brand on some of this fantastical stuff. Anyways, what else worked for me? The story was an excellent origin. I think it was done right, and I think, and this part of my hot take at the very end, I think this film deserves a lot more recognition than I think that it does in the grand scale of the MCU. When you're thinking about all the endless movies and shows and projects that they have, this definitely deserves that pedestal recognition of a movie. I'll just say the only nitpick I really had personally for myself was the look of Thor. It was good. It was okay. I'll say this. For an origin, a beginning, first movie, first step, and you already talked about this, it's a good first step in it. I do like his appearances after this a lot more.
Yeah, agreed.
Especially when you get to Thor 2 and Avengers Age of Ultron. Those looks of Thor, chef's kiss for me. I think that's like the perfect look of Thor. And then go on
What's
from
best
there.
about that is this is his worst look, and it's still good.
Oh,
Which
yes,
is
yes.
Which is a testament to how well this movie worked.
Yeah. And funny enough,
been real silly.
this is the only film where Chris Hemsworth dyed his eyebrows to match his hair color. The rest of them, he wanted to have a more natural look, which means he kept his natural brown hair for the eyebrows. As I
like that though.
As I was watching it, I'm like, what is wrong with his face? What's different about his face? And that's what's different, is that he went full on blonde hair, Norse mythology type stuff like that.
Good for him.
Anyways, so I'll tell you what my standout moment was, and I'll let you share yours, and then we'll get our score for Act 1 of the breakdown. There's so many standout moments for me, honestly. Asgard is just that is one of the standout moments, is them being able to create a world that you felt like you were out of your world, and not just Asgard when they're pulling back the camera and they're just showing it as a landscape, but when you go into the royal palace and you go into their dining hall room type thing. Even the room that's underneath the palace where all the trophies are, and was it the Eternal Frost or the Eternal Winter casket thing is there? I forgot the name of it at the top of my head, but that's just its own uniqueness in the whole thing. I definitely want one of those. What's that magazine? I think is it Vogue or some magazine that goes to celebrities' houses and they ask them questions while they're taking a tour.
I think you're right. I think it's Vogue. Yeah.
I want Disney, if you're listening to this, do that with the MCU.
Especially with Thor, because it would be hilarious.
Even if you don't want to get like a higher paid actor to do it, get someone like Lady Sif or something. No offense to her, but get some of those C tier characters that we see all the time. Get Thor's mother taking a walk through Asgard and answering questions
What a great
about
idea for a show.
Thor mythology right there. That would be.
You could
You
do it.
talk
You could
about
do it
how
with all
cool-
of the characters. I want to see
Yes.
Hawkeye's house again, but from there,
I want to see Tony's house with him doing that, or Pepper
Oh my
introducing
God.
it.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah, Wakanda. Oh, I would love when we get to there. We'll get to there.
or
But
Steve's.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Or just Bucky's, which is some like basement somewhere. Like, I mean, it'd be great. Like, I think it'd be fun.
Ant-Man going through the ant stuff. That'd be. Anyways,
That'd be a fun, funny show.
there's a good Disney Plus show idea. But anyways, for that, the Frost Giant scene I think was one of my favorite
Yeah, it's
scenes in
great.
Act 1.
It's great. Yeah.
That was just well written, well choreographed for the fighting, and just great storytelling.
Yeah.
Just really good in the acting part. But anyways, what's your standout moment?
So I got kind of three, I guess. I love the Lord of the Rings opening. We already talked about that. To me, that really stood out.
That really is good.
The other standout, the first two are like throwaway standout moments, but I'll tell you my real one, I guess, at the end. But the second one is that moment when freaking Odin hisses at Loki when he's trying to, like, Anthony Hopkins' choice to just, like, when he interrupts Loki when Loki's trying to stand up for Thor after they get back, his choice of just going, at him, it's like, whoa, but it's like, that's awesome.
And that's improvised.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Anthony's one of the best you can get, man. And especially for anything that is in that Shakespearean realm, which this is 100%. But like when he does that, I forgot that. I'm watching, I'm like, oh, that was like, whoa, it is okay. I love that moment. But for me, it was also realizing when they were all sitting there as a group contemplating what to do, and Thor was like, yeah, let's go off and let's beat this guy's butt, but just realizing I want to see a movie of this group of people. That stood out to me, how I forgot how well the chemistry worked with all of them together, even at that moment. And that's a very standout moment to me, that I don't know if it would have worked that well if they all felt really out of place, but they didn't. I like where they were in that. I liked it a lot. So that, to me, those three moments are like, well, that's cool. So,
all right. So out of a score for the first act, what would you give it?
I give it 8 out of 10.
Okay. I was a little more favorable to this just because it was so epic to me and watching it, and just how way it made me feel and things like that. So I gave this score as a 10 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah.
Which I know it's what I need to do for my scoring rate, because I know my brother has a little bit different when he thinks of those bigger numbers. Like, oh, you're very loose with my, like, not in a negative way, but like, I could be a little loose with my higher scores. I base a lot of that on how it made me feel, to be honest. And
it's a testament to how good these movies are, though, too. It's especially when we're rewatching them like this. Just imagine how good this is, and there's better coming. How good are those going to be now?
Yeah.
So like, it's not. I'm not telling you you're doing it wrong. Hey, you score it the way you need to score it. I get it. You know what I mean? But it is a testament to how good they are. Where you almost feel bad giving it a lower, because you're like, that was way more fun.
I know, because as when I watch these movies now, and now this, like I said, this is our fourth movie doing this, I'm really having to think about, all right, how critical can I be with this movie? Is this and one thing we need to add to our thing is all the Stan Lee cameos. We need to add its own little section for that, because maybe. Anyway, I don't know. We'll talk about that at some point. We're gonna do like our top 5 or top 10 best Stan Lee cameos, but
yeah, we haven't been bringing them up though.
We haven't. No, and it just hit me because he's on the screen right now. I'm like, oh, the father of Marvel. Why are we not talking about more often? Anyways, but no, I base a lot of this off of feelings, and so when I'm going through the breakdown of these, I'm really trying to nitpick them the best I can. Part of me is like, you know what? I'm okay with just calling them what I view, in my opinion, as a good part of the film, just good part of the film. So like things like that. So. But believe me, when I get critical, I will get critical, and they're not all going to be 10s. So that's a big leap.
You always count on me to get as critical as I can. So don't worry. I'll reel it in a little bit, folks.
All right. So how about you read Act 2 and we'll break that guy down?
Yes. Act 2, the rising conflict. Okay. So Thor attempts to reclaim Mjolnir, the hammer, but fails, proving he is no longer worthy. I can never say that darn thing right.
I love
My
when
mouth
Darcy
just
Lewis
doesn't
says
do
it.
Yeah.
When,
What's she call it?
Mew Mew.
Yeah, Mew Mew. Stranded and powerless, he begins to change, learning humility and compassion through his time with Jane and the others. Meanwhile, Loki manipulates events in Asgard, allowing Odin to fall into the Odin sleep. Okay, what is the Odin sleep? Anyway, and taking control of the throne. To eliminate Thor, Loki sends the Destroyer to Earth. In a pivotal moment, Thor sacrifices himself to save others, demonstrating true selflessness. This act of heroism restores his worthiness, and Mjolnir returns to him, bringing back his powers.
Mm.
So
I don't know where they get the word Mjolnir from. Is that in
all this
Norse mythology?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I'll tell you right now, there's so many words in Norse mythology that are just like, why? That's not a word. They didn't say that word. They're just making it up.
Like when I found out Thor's mother's name is Frigga. I'm like, Frigga. That's her name.
Frigga or is it Freya? No, because Freya is the god of. I don't know, folks.
I think it's Frigga. I'm like, Frigga.
Yeah, why?
What the frig are you talking about?
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah, why?
So what worked for you?
So what works for me in this is I like the relationship he starts with the people on Earth. I love the stuff in Asgard of Loki figuring out who he is and all that. I mean, that was kind of part of the last scene, but I do like that you get this idea behind him that, okay, oh no, Loki's kind of more of a bad guy than we thought. Like at first you're always, and I think that's the neat thing they play with Loki a lot in going further in the future, is you're kind of like never sure how far bad he is. And in this kind of demonstrates that, where it's like, not only do we know that he's going to try to get rid of his brother and keep his brother gone, but he kind of set it all up in the first place, which makes you go, oh, okay, so this is even further than just taking advantage of a situation. He's actually the reason why it's happening.
Yeah.
And I like that. I really like that. The Odin sleep thing is weird to me. It's kind of in the middle of a conversation. So I'm just gonna go to sleep, blah blah blah. It's like there was really no warning to like what this meant and where it came from. It didn't really explain that well. But that's okay because it's weird, and I like that it's weird, and that's part of it, right? That makes it fun. That stuff worked for me. All the Asgard stuff really worked for me. I will say, let's see, let me make sure I'm keeping it in the same spot here. Yeah. I think Loki taking control of the throne is a lot of fun, and it's a lot of unique. I feel like nobody else lives in Asgard, though. I think that's the one thing they may have. So I'll go into what didn't work for me, because this is where some of that comes in for me. It's like we only see like 9 people in Asgard this whole time, right? It's a city of people. Where are they?
I mean, didn't we see them all when they were celebrating? But that was it.
Yeah. It's
I
like
don't
I
think I've
just
seen
would
that.
like to see. There's not even a servant walking around. Every scene is like 3 guys, and that's about it. And maybe that's okay. I get it, guys. It's a budget, man. It's Asgard. It's everything in that probably costs money every time they're filming it. But gosh, man, it's just Asgard felt like it was like a town and not a city of a realm. Really, it didn't feel that way. So, but once again, that's not. It's not the worst thing in the world, okay? What didn't work for me is, I gotta be honest, man, like, I don't buy the relationship between Jane Foster and Thor. That, and I don't buy Thor gaining back his worthiness either. I don't understand what the point was, because it's like, if he's I'm gonna try to be very nice here. He's trying to prove that he should have the hammer, is kind of like this idea of him and how good of a king he can be. And what I do like is they throw in the beginning part of this movie, when Odin banished him, he whispered the curse, you could say, into the hammer of, you can't have this back unless you're someone that, anyone now can wield the hammer if you are worthy, because he kind of put it on there. He took it away from his son and put it into the hammer, basically. And I like that. I just don't think him going outside and standing in front of this machine is, I'll just let myself die. I don't know if that was the lesson he needed to learn. I don't think that was a problem Thor had. I think Thor would have given his life for anybody. I don't think that was a problem he had. And to me, it's like, well, there's a lesson here about being a king and being honorable and making good decisions and the right decisions. Being able to put yourself on the line for someone else's life was not, in my opinion, Thor's problem. That wasn't what he failed at. He failed at seeing when it was right to be diplomatic and when it's right to not be. Where sometimes making peace with your enemies is better than not making peace with your enemies. And I guess in that argument, you could say he's kind of making peace with Loki by saying, just take me and say, let everybody else be. You're here for me. Okay, I guess if you want to nitpick. But truthfully, it really just comes off as he's willing to give his life up for them. He'd have given his life for all of them in the beginning. He was literally putting his own life on the line to go there and confront them in the first place. So I don't see, if you're looking for the honorable thing to do of putting your life on the line, I don't think that was Thor's problem. And I think that message got lost in the movie, and it's simply because the stuff on Earth wasn't working story-wise. I think that fell flat. I don't think there was any kind of, the only stuff we saw of him on Earth that was any kind of struggle was him beating people up in the hospital, maybe some funny moments of, the interaction between the fish out of water story of him being from Asgard and us being from Earth. And he throws a coffin. I mean, these are all great scenes. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying, if you're going to talk about him accepting his worthiness or what it means to be worthy of the hammer, then why did it take so long for Steve to pick it up? Because Steve was all of these things. And I know arguably everyone can say he could always pick it up, but I don't think that's the case. I don't think so. I do believe that the worthiness of the hammer wasn't, I just don't think they expressed that well in this movie. And I do think that it was a writing problem. I think they put all their thought and all their process into what Asgard and that whole story is going to be, which is why all that works so well. But then they're like, oh crap, we got to still kind of do this thing. I just got to hook to Earth and it's got to have this. And well, why don't we just, if he just saves, he puts his life on the line for these people in this other realm that are, that are just, smaller than him. It's like, isn't that what Odin and them did all the time anyway? I don't understand the problem here. I'm not seeing where Thor learned anything.
Mm-hmm.
He really didn't learn anything, And it's like, and then that's kind of the point, was Odin wanted him to learn something. I just don't see it as earned. I'm not saying the scenes on Earth are bad. I'm just saying I don't buy the relationship. She falls in love with a guy who sounds freaking insane, and anyone that wakes up in a hospital and starts beating up doctors, you're going to jail. And of course I know that's what they did in this, and I understand that, but it's like, where those scenes are fun and good and anecdotal, it just, the overall purpose of him getting the hammer back, I don't know. And if you're asking me how it should have been done, truthfully, I think there should have been a time gap. I think that there should have been a 2 years later, and he's been acclimated into living on Earth with her as a boyfriend. And then then maybe something comes up somehow that makes him feel like he has to go back home, or Loki's plans take that long I think there is something in there that could have been done right. I don't know. That sounds awful too, I guess. I don't know, guys. All I know is I didn't buy it. I just didn't buy it. So that's what didn't work for me. It was a lot of the Earth stuff and her, and not Natalie Portman herself. I just don't think they knew what to do with her. And we'll get into that later as well. So
one thing I will say, just the piggyback off of that thing that you did say, and I'm trying to remember specifically in the comics what Natalie Portman's actual job description was, but I don't think she was an astrophysicist like they made her in the movies. If I remember it right, and please, comic book nerds, tell me in the comments below. Let me know if I'm wrong on this, but from the interpretations that I remember seeing, and I'm not like, I'm not as well versed on the Marvel Comics version of Thor as well as some of these other characters, because there's just so many. But from the times of Jane Foster that I see, I think she's just a nurse. that took care of him, and they've developed feelings for each other. I don't think she was an astrophysicist, so they did rewrite her to a degree in here, and I see the purpose of rewriting her for this, if that's exactly what they did, is to sort of be that science versus magic gap of bridging. She's a representation of Earth trying to understand that there's more out there, and he's the embodiment of something more out there. So I see where that will be a natural drawn curiosity of her. I do agree that when she meets him, no sane person would be in love with someone that's like this, because though he may look appealing to the eyes, he looks back crap crazy when how he's acting and things like that. So I get that part of it.
I just don't buy they fell in love. I just don't buy that they fell for each other at all.
I buy that Thor fell in love with her because she's this beautiful woman he's laid eyes on, and he's learning the scope of her through his eyes. And that scene of them under the stars, and he's explaining what you see as science, I see where I come from as magic, and they're both one and the same in those regards. I think that's a good touching moment between the both of them, where I can see where she's not only drawn to him physically anymore because he just is Chris Hemsworth, but there is an intellectual part of him that is displayed throughout all of his other actions, and I think that that's the part that, that's where I see that their chemistry start to develop. I do think in the second movie, when we get there, they have more chemistry together as a solidified couple, but I agree that in the beginning of their relationship, it's touchy, it's different.
Well, I won't die on that hill as much as I would die on. I just don't believe his worthiness stuff. It's just I just don't.
The worthiness stuff that I'll touch upon. As I was listening to you, and I'm not just doing this just to rebut you or anything, but
No,
this is
do
just
it because yeah,
this is just my point of view. When he brought his companions to Jotunheim to confront Laufey, the frost giants, about the little espionage scheme in on Asgard. I, I see that as him doing a selfish thing of taking his friends with him to do some. Their intent was to beat them up and teach them a lesson, so they never come back there and all that stuff. He didn't understand the diplomatic parts of things, where they had a peace treaty, and though some of their people act arrogantly or foolishly, that doesn't justify breaking a treaty type thing. Whereas Thor is more arrogant and says, "No, they attacked us." And so that's when Odin's like, if anything, I'll handle this diplomatically. And they already paid for it with their lives. But Thor's just Thor. And him going to Jotunheim versus like one of the other people going to Jotunheim is different, because he's the son of, he can actually enact wars, whereas some of those other frost giants, which is actually a smart thing for Loki to do, just say, hey, send some of your frost giants over to do this, so we have justification to go in there. And I know my brother, he is arrogant enough to go in there. So there's a little bit of smart trickery in that.
I see all that. Yep.
Yeah, but for the worthiness thing, when he took his friends over there, he was being selfish because that was his desire to do that. But him trying to sacrifice himself against that destroyer thing, that was, I can see where that would be displayed as the first time he's showing a selfishness from him, that he doesn't want everyone else to die. I'm sure if put in this situation with him and his comrades on Jotunheim, he probably would have said, I'll sacrifice myself on their behalf. But also, I think it just is a testament to his arrogance being curved. That's how I'm picturing how the movie is trying to interpret worthiness. Now,
I think you're 100% correct. That's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah,
I just think,
I don't know if it translates into the rest of the movies though. Moving forward,
I'm not even trying to include the moving forward. All I'm saying is, if that's all it means to be worthy for the hammer, then there's a lot of people worthy for that hammer, and I think that's where I get a little. Oh, I think it means a little more than that. You know. I don't think that was the lesson that Odin was trying to teach him. I see what you mean. He made a selfish act taking those people. I get it. He still would have given his life for them, though. You know, because Thor wasn't wrong for doing what he did. I might disagree with Odin on some of this.
Yeah.
I don't know if war would have been the answer, but Thor wasn't wrong for going there and being like, hey, what's up?
Or for being upset and wanting to confront.
Right.
It. Yeah, that's totally justifiable.
Yeah.
Odin just had a
now
different
Thor
point
keeping
of
his
view.
cool is a different story, right? But I don't think you need to keep your cool in order to wield the hammer. You know, it's like when you're talking about worthiness to have the power of Thor, it is such a big deal. It all comes down to an act of selflessness. Yeah, I don't know. No, yeah, okay. If that's what they want, I think that's exactly, I think they get the point across in the movie. I just don't buy that point. I don't think it doesn't make sense to me. You know, I think it would have made more sense. Honestly, it almost would have made more sense if Thor did nothing about it. You know, I'm still trying to, what's the lesson he's learning? To not think of himself and think of others, right? I don't know.
Yeah,
It's cheap.
I get your point where it's, and I don't want to say this in a bad way, but it's like a minute character trait. Then all of a sudden, anyone who feels the way that Odin is making it sound like that, almost anyone can pick it up if they have that sense of that. But it's interesting.
Because Thor's awful at a lot of things.
Yep. And
he's not a very good person. Like, he's a good person. He's a good man. Like, he means well, but he's always learning about what that means to mean well and do the best thing.
Yeah, and he always has an arrogant streak about him.
Yeah.
Even after, I mean, this movie, it shows he's like on a spectrum. He's like 100% arrogant, and all of a sudden he gets like bogged down to less than 50%. So he's learning humility throughout this movie.
Right? Still
but even future iterations of him, he's still got arrogance in him. It's just, it's not the level of this where maybe that's where you get unworthy of Thor. I don't know.
Yeah, it just didn't feel as earned, you know. And you know, honestly, if you think about it, then too, like, his crew come down to Earth to help him the same way that he left under distress with Odin. So, okay, yeah, they're going against Loki's. You know, I know Loki was a bad guy, and if they didn't go down, it wouldn't help. But isn't it the same thing, though? You know, your king told you not to, and you went and did it. It's like, so what is learned here? No, I don't see it. I just don't see it. If I were to tell you, what did Thor learn at the end when you're standing there and they're looking, what did he really learn out of this whole thing?
The most I'd say is humility. But
did he? You know, it's like he would have given his life for other people. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't buy it. Yeah. And is that enough to say that's what it means to wield Mjolnir?
Yeah, I get that point of view. Is that,
if that's the case, Cap should have had it when he was a baby.
Because
he was born this way. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you're talking about a guy who wanted to go to war. He's like 3'2" and weighed 20 pounds. You know what I mean? Like, I know I'm exaggerating.
The most selfless person of all.
Jumped on a grenade. You know, that was a fake grenade. And we'll get to that movie, but I'm just saying. It's like, if you're talking about selflessness and what it means to do the right thing, Captain America, you know, which makes sense why he can wield Mjolnir later. You know, but look how long. Wait a minute. Like, you're telling me Cap at the beginning of Age of Ultron wasn't worthy of Mjolnir? Come on. I don't know. But Thor is? Like, so to me, it's like, what does it really mean? To make the right decision sometimes means not making the decision you normally would.
And we as fans, we could theorize why Cap wasn't able to lift it up in Age of Ultron. The general consensus is, at the end of the day, it's based on face value. He almost could lift him up, but like, he moved it, but he couldn't lift it.
I'm gonna call a spade, though. The problem is Thor couldn't end this movie without his hammer, and they just didn't know what to do. And that's, the Earth stuff was just not working. Sorry, that's my opinion. I understand. I see why you feel the way you do, and that's exactly how they want you to feel, because that's their justification.
Yeah,
but it just, to me, that's where it fell real flat.
It need more of a fleshing out type thing,
right? Or something deeper to the meaning of holding the hammer. You know, there had to be. To me, it really needed to feel like there was more of a purpose there. You know, it didn't. You could have kept all the same stuff, just had a difference in that. Is all. I don't know. You know, I don't have the answer either, guys. I just know, for me, when I'm watching it, I was like, oh, not happy with that. So
yeah. All right. So for me, what worked for me was this, in my personal view at least, it's this God to man complex type thing, that it is the learning of humility for me that worked for me in this act, is that he had to getting out of his comfort zone of being the chosen child of the All-Father,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden he's not only in a different realm, but it's a less advanced realm than what Asgard is,
Yeah.
and so he's able to see those different points of view. And
I'm with you. I like the fish out of the water stuff.
Yeah.
Even the serious moments of it is good.
Yeah.
Is real good.
That's good. I think that was part of the whole. If it wasn't for that part of the story, I don't think we would have gotten Thor having a character arc of being worthy to a degree, you know, or being showing some humility
Mhm.
and toning down the arrogance. I think if we didn't have that, that he was sent to Midgard, Earth, we wouldn't have had it like that.
Gotcha.
But I do like the comic accuracy of how Thor does tone down his arrogance. I think that was part of the comics too, that really set him up to be one of the pillars of the MCU and also the pillars in the comics when you think about it too.
Agreed. Yeah.
So I did like that. What I had a hard time saying what didn't work for me because I did see it differently than how you saw it.
Yeah.
So when I was watching this movie and thinking about what part didn't work for me, there really wasn't too much for me to nitpick on. So I hold my thoughts on that.
That's fine.
Or did the pacing hold up? I don't know if the pacing hold up for you. For me, it did because I never lost my interest.
Yeah. So the pacing's fine.
Mhm.
Like there was never a moment where I felt like it got dull.
Yep.
Even though I had those questions and I didn't care for the storytelling of that
Mhm.
moment of his getting the hammer back.
Mhm.
Even though I didn't buy that, I don't feel like they lagged. I thought they moved it right along, you know,
Mhm.
where I wish other things were happening and it was better, but that had nothing to do with the pacing though at all.
Mhm.
The movie didn't feel like it got long or short because
Yeah.
of it. So yeah,
Yeah.
pacing's good.
All right. So let's see. What's your best character moment or favorite character moment?
In this act, I saved one for my favorite moment of the whole movie later. But I like when he takes the guy to the bar
Mhm.
and I just love there's that moment where he brings him back drunk and he lays him down and he kind of turns to him and he's just like, I don't think you say you're who you are, but boy, I wish you were. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm
that's
just, and even Thor is just like, he did his ancestors proud today, and that showed that Thor is a good guy. Like he's
Yeah.
a guy you want to hang out with that deep
He has a
down
good
in
heart,
that
yeah.
arrogance, in all that stuff, and where he's got to learn a lot of things. He's a good person, and he's someone that treats people well. He's not out to be mean. Because he's a guy who doesn't think he's even telling the truth and they're drinking. Let's just do this,
Yeah.
And it was very funny at the bar when they are drinking and you're trying to compete and stuff. It's like, you're just not going to keep up with this guy. Like, I like the character moment because it showed that funny side of him and the fun side of him that we need to see in this. So,
Yeah. Well, for character, I probably should have put like a specific scene. I mean, I did write down a specific scene for me, but it's I don't know if it's spoilery to say that it's one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie. I'd have to really look back and see where that part is when we get to that spot. But um I liked the whole the lifting up or trying to lift up Mjolnir scene.
with Thor.
With Thor.
Yeah.
I thought that especially for knowing that Chris Hemsworth is that new of an actor, and there's not really too much of an acting part of this. It's just
Yeah.
him being arrogant and thinking, "Oh, I could take on. Oh, you're a big guy. I could take you
It is a
on."
great scene.
It was really cool. To me there was a just for me as a viewer, or maybe me as just a passionate viewer of it, there was more of an emotional moment for it when he gets to Mjolnir and he realizes that what his dad said, or actually, his dad banished him before he did that thing, right? Or did his dad
He banished Thor and then did it at the
did
same
it?
time.
Yeah. So Thor didn't know that he couldn't lift up the hammer.
Right,
But
right.
part of the humility of he's mad at his dad for not letting him pick up the hammer, but also
Yeah.
this it was just, to me, that was a very emotional scene if you realize this. And it's something that actually plays him for the rest of, not plagues, but plays him for the rest of the, his arc in the rest of the movies, is that he's like bound by this hammer of that's where he has his power, where he needs to learn. And this is part of the first step of learning of his humility, is that true power does come from him, on his self-control, on who
Right.
he is, and he's still Thor without the hammer. And it's funny that we see this in this movie, and then when we get to Ragnarok, that's like the main theme of the whole movie for his arc too. So I love how that just it's rippled throughout his rest of his time. Anyways,
And a quick
so
mention too, this is when we first meet Hawkeye.
yes. Oh, yes.
And
That's a
for
great
not seeing him
scene.
do anything that we know he can do, what a
Yeah.
great introduction of his
Yeah.
cockiness speaks for his ability is.
Yeah.
You realize, oh, this guy can do things, and the way he's
Yeah.
talking, and we didn't need to see him do it.
Love
Which is great.
the line where he's like, "You gotta tell me when, because I'm starting to root for this guy."
Yeah.
Like,
It's
yeah.
like, so you want me to put him down, or you want to send more guys in for him to beat up?
He's just like this the whole time.
Yeah,
like,
they're ready to go. Yeah. It's a
Right.
great introduction to a character that turns out to be awesome. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I felt like for Black Widow and Iron Man 2 is that, I mean, Hawkeye doesn't have that big of a scene
no, yeah.
stealing moments or scenes at all compared to Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow and Iron Man 2. But those are the type of characters where they work better being introduced in other characters.
Yeah, I agree.
Films, especially bigger named or bigger powerful or bigger story arcing characters. I do think, and I do hold this opinion, that you could make a kick butt assassin movie of Black Widow, but at the same time, for how they introduce her and how they introduce Hawkeye here, perfect ways to introduce them. These are the type of characters where you learn to love them as their ensemble, and then you want to see what they could be like in either a solo project, whether it's a show like Hawkeye or a movie like Black Widow, and then you could have fun with it more.
Why they never did a show of their Budapest thing, I never understood.
Yeah, I
Missed
completely
opportunity.
agree.
Yeah.
That when we get to the Black Widow movie, that's going to definitely be part of our discussions when it gets to that. But anyways, what's your score of the second act?
5 out of 10.
Oh,
I think I just shot an arrow into Sammy's heart.
oh boy! All right,
Sorry, folks.
we don't need to get into why, but my score is a 9.5 out of 10.
Almost a 10. My God.
All right, so I'm gonna read. We're on to the final act now of the movie. So I'm gonna read to you the little breakdown of it, and then we'll get into our final thoughts of the whole film at large and things like that.
Okay.
All right, so now fully restored, Thor returns to Asgard to confront Loki. The conflict reveals Loki's deep resentment and desire for approval from Odin. As Loki attempts to destroy Jotunheim using the Bifrost, Thor makes a drastic choice, destroying the Bifrost bridge to stop him, knowing it will sever his connection to Earth and Jane. Odin awakens and intervenes as Loki falls into the void after rejecting help. Thor accepts the consequences of his actions, having finally matured into a worthy hero and future king. So, did the ending land for you?
Yes and no. Once again, I still don't feel like he got the hammer in the right way, but I do love this ending. I like the fight between him and Loki, and I like all the stuff on the Rainbow Bridge. I think it worked for me in the sense that I'll just accept the fact that he got the hammer because I'm a good guy. Okay. So here he is. Now he's doing his thing. And, it was very clear resolution, obviously. Odin waking up and coming out of his thing. I still don't quite understand all that either, but that's okay. It worked just fine. I like that Thor destroys the Bifrost. I like that there's a thing to the disconnection that they have to have, where and it kind of that goes on later on to play out too in Thor's stuff, where sometimes you have to get rid of something in order for it to work, So, my biggest issue is I still struggle with him, being where, like, what has he learned here? The action is great though, and this is some of the best Loki stuff too. I really enjoy it a lot. My favorite, I'll just do one of my favorite, the best moment in Act 3 is I like it when he sets the hammer on Loki and then goes.
Yeah.
I like this theme gets this played out again in other movies. This idea that no one can lift the hammer, so you can literally just use it as, I'm just going to set it on you. And like, you can't do anything. And I'm like, part of it feels like a cheat, but it's like, yes, don't let anyone think that you can't do that. I love that he does that when in the moments he does it in other movies are fantastic. And I like they just sets it on him and then walks away. It's just like, I can't do anything. It's like, I love that moment. So that was a good moment.
That's funny. Yes. For me, if the ending landed well for me, or why not? And I put yes. For me, it did land well for me because it was just for me it was Odin understanding his children, even though the truth hurts when he finds out about Loki and how he feels, and it's kind of like one of those things where if you put it into like a real life perspective, like if you're hiding something big from your child, like your child's adopted in Loki's case, stuff like that, and then eventually when your child does find out, and sometimes they find out sooner than you want them to find out, you as a parent are just never prepared for it, and Odin's able to just sleep it off, but
you just can go take a nap,
and not only for Loki, but also for Thor's sake, is that he does a fatherly lesson in teaching him humility in this, and he learns that his oldest son can be a great leader, and his youngest son has lost his way now. Or I feel like in the beginning it was kind of a little bit different, where Loki wanted to be a leader. You could tell he didn't actively pursue being like gripey about it, but I mean he tried to seize the throne, guys. So we know, and
for sure.
And so it kind of like was a little bit of a reversal on that. I think that was kind of cool. I think that for Thor, the objective of the movie was by the end he had to have his hammer because he has to get ready for the Avengers. And so even if it felt a little rushed, maybe we could have done it a little bit differently here or there. I think it was a good enough resolution for him as a character for this film.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So best moment in Act 3 for you. I said for myself is what you already said that you touched upon. Thor destroying the Bifrost. To me that was a symbolism of Thor realizing what the consequences are. That he knew he had to do the right thing, even if it meant he never could see Jane again.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that. I did say my best moment was when he sets the hammer on him because I just think it's funny. But yeah, no, I mean, then breaking that was awesome. The Rainbow Bridge, how it was breaking. Like,
that's a very humility.
Yeah, but he already had the hammer, so you can't do it.
I know, but
now if he didn't have the hammer and he was there doing it, I'm with you.
Yeah,
but yeah,
he changed, even though he already had the hammer.
He changed, folks. He did what he had
you
done.
Can change them.
He'd have done anyway.
You can change them.
He would have put his life on the line for anybody. Like, what are we talking about? He changed my ass. Anyway,
what was your biggest issue? Did you already say it?
Yeah, okay. Basically, I still just didn't buy a lot of this. Like, I didn't buy it all lands good with what they want us to think, but I didn't quite buy it working, truthfully. So,
was the climax earned for you?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I love the climax. Like, I think it's great. I think the fight between him and Loki's good. It's not so physical as it is emotional, and that's what it needs to be because it's being Shakespearean and the way it's set up. It's got to be that way. Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, yes, obviously it did. If the landing end for me, I think the climax definitely landed for me too. So I'm giving this, again, a 9.5 out of 10.
I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
It's better than the second act for him. So there you go. All right. So now we're going to move on to the post-credit scene.
Yeah, it's a quick one. It's an easy one.
Yeah, and actually, when I was watching it, I forgot about this scene.
Me too.
I only even think, I'm watching this and I'm like, did I even ever watch this scene?
Yeah.
I don't remember it.
I remember seeing it before, but I was just like, oh yeah, that's right. That's what this was. Yeah, it took a minute.
Yeah.
But I forgot all about.
Dr. Eric Selvig is brought to a S.H.I.E.L.D. facility by Nick Fury. We get Samuel L. Jackson cameo again, who shows him a mysterious cube, the Tesseract. Fury suggests it could be a source of unlimited power, and unbeknownst to Selvig, Loki, still alive, appears in a reflection, subtly influencing him.
Yeah.
So, the purpose of this was to set up the Avengers. How important do you think it actually was?
I think it's important because it establishes Loki's still alive. And he ultimately becomes the first major villain in an Avengers movie later. So it starts that process of Loki's not going to be this easy to get rid of guy, Then everyone loves him. So they're kind of like, ooh, he's still there, I don't think anyone thought him falling like that was him dying anyway. I think it all kind of was, we could all say without the cameo of him at the end being alive that, oh, he's coming back somehow. It's going to kill him. Because it is so good, and we all know that he's a big part anyway. anyway,
I
but this solidifies it, and it helps that, march to the first Avengers movie,
Mhm.
really helps it along big time.
And funny enough, I don't think it's this important.
Oh, okay.
The
Well, as
so
importance, I guess maybe not. Maybe you're right.
well, for my perspective at least, is that it is this scene pivotal enough for me to get hyped for the Avengers that already was around the corner type thing? I would say for me, no, because you see these same characters again right in the beginning of the Avengers movie.
I would say in the lead up to the next movie, or at least to the Avengers movie, is it important? Maybe not.
Mm.
But I'd say in the MCU as a whole, I would say it's important only because it's really the first time that the Infinity Stones are kind of becoming a thing. We can bring it back down to, okay,
Mhm.
this is where this is coming from and what this means. I mean, maybe, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I pick up what you're putting
But the
down.
hype level definitely is a high for me.
Oh yeah, it's
Like-
big because right at this point, anything is kind of like yes, because we still don't believe they're going to be able to do an Avengers movie at this point.
Yeah.
So anything that happens, it's kind of hard to not. You show Sam Jackson, hey, look, by the way, we know, good enough hyped. I'm hyped. Let's see it. You know what I mean? Like we're already there. So yeah, I agree with you. The hype is high.
So my score for the post-credit scene is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. Yep.
Yeah.
It's good. It does its job. Whether it might needed to be there or not, it did its job.
Okay. All right. So deep dives. Your best performance.
My best performance, I think, is Tom Hiddleston. I think he is amazing in this movie. He turns on that nice little in between, I'm your brother and we're buddies, to, oh no, something's wrong. I didn't have anything to do with that, to I'm evil as hell and I just want to kill you. And he just does it really, really well. And he has moments in this, like when that he's the unpredictable, scary bad guy. And I like them. Like you could almost say the right thing to him and he'll take it wrong just to be mean,
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
but then you could say the right thing to him and it gets through to him and he'd be like, oh, I see what you're saying. Like he's just crazy enough you're not quite sure what to think, I think Tom Hiddleston was a standout, in my opinion, for the best performance of this, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I put Anthony Hopkins for me, just because I mean that he is so good at Odin.
Yeah.
And I think that he commands the room whenever he's on the screen. And I think that's really cool. And it really shows that Marvel was taking this seriously. That they were going to cast someone like this. It wasn't just like a one-off type thing. Like we want someone who could do Norse mythology really well. And Anthony Hopkins, he's a great legacy actor. And I think that getting him to play their father was perfect casting. So
I agree.
yeah. All right. Your most surprising.
My most surprising performance is Anthony Hopkins. I'm very surprised how serious he took the role. And when he made choices and really made it his own, I was really into it. Like I said, guys, when he did that in the beginning where he just hisses and look, I'm like, whoa. It's like, this is all just him doing this. Like he makes moments in this that makes it work. And that's why I was surprised by his performance. I knew it was going to be good because it's Anthony Hopkins. But to be this good, I was pleasantly surprised how good it was.
Yeah. All right. So I put for my most surprising performance as Natalie Portman.
Here we go.
And I did that because I think that going into this film, I wasn't expecting much, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just that I wasn't expecting her to be that pivotal. But I think for Thor's character arc, she was, and I think she put on a great performance as this character. I actually like her more in this than I like her in Star Wars. There's my hot take for her. So nothing else for me to say about that.
Okay.
All right.
So weakest performance?
Oh, see,
Natalie Portman. So it's not her though. I think she's a great actress. She's definitely better in this than she is in Star Wars, unfortunately. Star Wars was a very badly written movie. With her roles. I mean, there were problems, but it wasn't them that were the problem. And then it's the same with her. This isn't her problem in this. She's just a doughy-eyed scientist in this. And I really feel like I didn't get to see how smart she was. and I didn't get to see, for me, a plausible connection between her and Thor. And I just think she was a A-list actor in a C-list role. And that's my problem with that part. So I don't think it was so much of a she did anything wrong. I just think, what does she have to work with, in my opinion? You and I feel very opposite about her in this movie, which is, I understand. I get where you're coming from too, though. And for some reason, I'm just not buying it. I just don't buy it. So. But it goes to her for that reason.
For me, weakest performance, I really didn't have one written down for that because I just thought everyone played the characters how they're supposed to play them.
Mm.
I didn't see anything that was like staunch to me that was like, oh, that could have been better for me personally.
Mhm.
But anyways, casting wins. There's so many for the casting wins for me.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's why I had a hard time with the weakest performance, to be honest. But Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston I put Anthony Hopkins, of course, because I think it was the best performance. But really, Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston, perfect casting.
I'll have to say, across the board, this movie's casted perfectly.
Mhm.
If we were to do casting wins, we'd have to list all the guys in the group. We'd have to list Heimdall. We'd have to list Natalie Portman and her little crew. We'd have to list everybody with Shield. We'd have to list Thor and Loki. I mean, it's just, I don't see it. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't see one casting flaw at all in this at all, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Right across the board. Probably the only time I'll say that about these movies,
Mm.
believe it or not.
All right, missed opportunities or wasted potential for you. I wasn't expecting anything more on this movie, and I don't think any personally
This
for
one
me.
was a hard one to even think of.
I don't think any characters were done wrong by how they were
Yeah.
written.
My wasted opportunities come from stuff that didn't come from the movie, like a movie of that group of guys.
Yeah.
That's honestly, that's the only thing I can think of is, why didn't we get more of them, you know? Yeah, I can't think of anything in this movie other than if this falls under that category is, yeah, you had an opportunity to really explain what it meant to hold the hammer, and I don't think for me, it didn't come across that well. So,
All right. So you wanted to talk about when it comes to direction and production, the directing style.
yeah, a couple things. I want to bring up the director because this is a big deal. I think this is where I'm not saying Marvel wasn't looking to hire directors to do their own thing, because they did that with the first couple movies as well, but they went to the right person for this kind of movie. Kenneth Branagh is the perfect guy to do this Shakespearean stuff in this way. And because he's so good, guys. If you haven't seen his Hamlet movie that he's in and directed, it is phenomenal. It's got everybody under the sun at the time in the movie, but it is so good, and he's so good in it. He just knows how to direct this kind of stuff, and I'm very, very happy to say that this had his flavor on it. When I watch this movie, I'm like, oh, that's a Kenneth Branagh movie. And it's good to see that the MCU was able to do that and take a swing and let a director do what he was going to do in his style and let it play out that way. The cinematography is the best yet so far in the MCU. You know, the camera choices on just from the tilt when they show the welcome to the town sign into the town, where you realize, okay, this is where we're going to have our Earth setting, which is good that it's not in a city, because we want this to be a low key situation. Or just, all the stuff on the Rainbow Bridge when it shows them running across and you're looking from the angle ups. Like, there's certain angles and certain ways they did that he definitely was showing you there's better ways to look at this movie or at these things, which then I'll go right into the action is good. It's not the best of the MCU, but it's good. It's not the best Mjolnir action that we've ever got. We get way better later on. This stuff, it's cool. The stuff they do in this is cool, but there's some stuff in Ragnarok that's just freaking awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And but the CGI, I will say, I agree with you. It is early on CGI, not as good for the MCU, but I will tell you at this point in time, though, I don't know if, guys, I was tired or what was going on, but when I watched this movie, it was dark. I had my big screen TV with my surround sound on. CGI blew me away. Like, I forgot how good this movie looked. And specifically in certain things that could have looked real bad. Now, there's moments where you're like, oof, but it's big scale moments. But the little moments, like just the style of the Rainbow Bridge, is amazing. And I like the Bifrost the way it is now in the MCU, but it still looked cool then. Like, they still did a cool job with it then. Like, I think the CGI on this holds up a lot, especially with the Ice Giants.
Mhm.
They look great.
They look very good with it.
Doing it in that dim light and stuff where his eyes are that brown that really sticks out or that reddish that really sticks out. Fantastic. It
Oh, yeah.
looks great.
I agree.
That's all. I really wanted to hit on those because, and the only other thing that I will say is the music. It's still just whatever. We're still at a point in the MCU where the music kind of sucks. These theme songs, they're not really there yet.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's just their archive or what they're doing or who they're hiring, but they just don't really have anything that stands out that makes you
Yeah.
go, "Oh, that theme," Not yet.
Mhm.
We'll get
Yeah.
there.
We will, but
They do
yeah.
get some, but right now it's not happening.
Yeah. So, I this is part of the part of the podcast, the part of the session that I don't, go into too much details unless I really want to. I liked everything, really. I had no complaints with anything in here. I do like what you described, the scene cuttings. I liked when you saw Laufey, you saw him at an angle and with the right shadow, made him look mysterious.
Yeah.
And then when he
Smart choice.
stands up real quick, it's like you still didn't get his full picture because you have no idea what this guy is really like. I love that they were able to play on to some of that stuff. All right, so I'm gonna move on to my hot take. And this might be something that you may or may not agree with, but I wanted to come up with a good, unique hot take, and it took me a while to think about this. And I thought, you know what? How about this? This is less of a Thor movie and more of a Loki origin story.
You watch this, guys. Watch what happens. Go ahead.
While the film is framed around Thor learning humility, his arc is actually pretty straightforward. Arrogant goes to humble, goes to worthy. It's clean, but there's also a relativity I'm sorry, it's simple and fast-tracked, which I definitely did feel in this movie. Meanwhile, Loki goes through far more of a layered transformation, discovering his heritage, grappling with identity, seeking approval from Odin, and ultimately breaking under his weight of rejection and ambition. By the end of the film, Thor kind of has a complete arc for his worthiness, whereas Loki's journey is just beginning. What are your 2 cents?
That's a hot take. That's a hot take. You said all the things that I wish I would have said when I was trying to tell you I don't feel like Thor earned his hammer. They did all the right things for Loki and all the wrong things for Thor. So if you think that's true, then you need to rethink about how you felt about how he got his hammer, because you're 100% right. I'm with you. Loki's story is way more thought out, emotional, and understanding than Thor's in his own movie.
Yep.
For that reason.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely is my overall hot take of the whole film. I do like all the Thor stuff. And I know I can agree to the unworthiness and the worthiness thing is
relentless, folks.
it's complicated.
I got you. Yeah, it's complicated.
But I wasn't like disappointed with Thor in it.
I got you.
So, what's your hot take?
My hot take is kind of a MCU one because of this movie. I think I definitely figured out their secret ingredient. I think Feige realized, and I'm not saying that this isn't something that we all didn't know. Folks, I don't want you to think I'm like way behind. I get it. They are putting these big actors like Anthony Hopkins in these movies to give it more prestige, obviously. But if you really think about it and the genius of it and continuing to do it forward, is that we're only going to take these movies as seriously as they make them. And when you put guys like Anthony Hopkins, like Mickey Rourke, like Sam Rockwell, or from Jeff Bridges from Iron Man 1, you're putting in some prestigious guys that are giving clout to this before these other guys can do it on their own. Because truthfully, when you look at this movie and the casting of it, you got guys like Idris Elba, that's a big deal now, but at the time he wasn't. So now it's a big deal if you get him because he's done. Look at his repertoire at this point, because of this. So it's very genius that he continues this on. I mean, later on we get Tommy Lee Jones, we get Robert Redford, we get Louis Dreyfus, we get Josh Brolin. We get a lot of people later on that keep going. So that for me, it's definitely. I would just say that the hot take is simply that. We will have to pay attention to these bigger names and these bigger people as we go forward, because I do think that they carry some of these movies at first.
Yeah. All right,
Or our
guys.
hot takes, we're done with those. So.
Yep, we're done with hot takes.
All right, let's do our quick fire questions.
All right, best scene of the movie for me was Thor trying to lift the hammer.
Hey, yeah, that's great. Mine is very similar. It's the moment of when all the hillbillies and I were trying to lift the hammer. It's like a King Arthur scene where the town just gets together to try to lift it. I love that whole setup, and it's really neat to get there with that. It's real funny and make me laugh. Music-wise and all that was good.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. Least best scene, I didn't really have one.
Yeah, anytime him and Jane, I just didn't care. Sorry, guys. It just didn't work for me.
Someday we're going to find in one of these retrospectives a good, other than Tony and Pepper, a good character couple for you. Maybe.
Yeah, there's some. We'll get there. We'll get there.
All right. Best villain moment, I thought, was when Loki betrayed Laufey in the Odin sleep scene. I thought that is a good demonstration of his trickery, that he did all this stuff, he orchestrated them, he even brought them in to just at the very last minute say, no, this is going to be my thing now. That was some manipulation right there.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think yours is better than mine. But I love that scene when he's on the throne and the group of them come to him asking him to like forgive Thor. I thought that showed that mix of that meanness but niceness and manipulation all at the same time. I think it's hard to say because there's probably 3 or 4 other scenes we can say. That's how good he did in this, in my opinion. But there's that one moment when he does stand up and he's like walking down talking to them, and this is the first time you see him in his helmet that could easily look silly, but it's not silly, that's epic, and he's so good in that. So yeah, yours is better than mine. I think I like yours. Definitely shows more of him like that, but I just that for some reason that one scene just sticks out to me because it's a little more subtle and it kind of makes it feel creepier, but other than that, like I said, it's hard to pick a bad one of his.
It really is,
to be honest with you.
Like, all right, most punchable face, mine was Laufey.
Yeah, why so?
He just looked like it
because he just needs a good one.
Yeah, you just
See, he got it though in the movie. Thor gave him a good punch in the face.
But
I got you though.
I didn't do it. So now I want to do it.
You know who I wanted to hit in this one real bad? Like Coulson just needed a good old sucker.
Oh, he was my second choice.
Just the way he talked to them when he was taking
I just
their
thought
stuff.
I can't hit him, but yeah,
and
I agree.
Then even later when he's like, I just want to see what happened. Like Coulson, you know what, dude? Sometimes you're a little too smug. It worked in Iron Man because he was more smug than you, but when it's just you being that guy, you need a good old sock to the head. Like he was such a jerk to them, taking their stuff. Like what the? I get what was going on. I understand, but I always thought to myself, if all he did was ask a couple more questions, he could have had access to Thor himself.
Yeah.
But because he's so like, it's like, okay, punk. Yeah, no, he needed a punch to the face. Sorry, Coulson. I love you, but sometimes you just need to be, All right.
What's your one prop you take home?
This was hard. But I'll tell you, what I want is a replica of Heimdall's sword. That sword is sick.
I thought of like either Loki's staff or Odin's staff, honestly, but I thought, those look too big. So I'm thinking, what's a little smaller? So I put Jane Foster's notebook.
That's I like it. It's a great, but that sword though would be pretty cool.
All right. So most underrated moment for you.
I think the Ice Giant stuff isn't talked about enough in this. I think that people give them a hard time, which is why I'm excited to get into the second one when we do, because there's more of that. I forgot how much I liked it in this one and how much it worked. They're very menacing, very mean, and I like that about them. So
yeah, I agree with that too. I put the bar scene between Thor and Skarsgård there. That was pretty good, and I think that's kind of underrated because I like how they kind of found a way to like a bond to a degree. It's
great character development.
Yes. Most overrated moment for you.
Thor get his hammer back. Right?
We're the same thing. So
how can you write that? See, this is just it. You're starting to realize. I told you guys, I'm relentless. No, I get it, Sammy. I know why you feel. You do a great job at defending this situation, but I still got to tell you, you're saying it for me right here. It's when he gets the hammer back. It's like what? You just Just because you went out and you're gonna put your life on the line. Like, oh, it's something Thor already does. Like, I don't know. I felt it just was like, okay, cool.
Mhm.
Cool.
Well-
That and if you are gonna do it, at least make it more epic than the movie did it.
Mhm.
If you're gonna do it, be epic. But you know why it wasn't epic? Because it didn't feel earned.
Mhm.
That's why.
Well, for me, the reason why I put Thor getting the hammer back, it was because I feel like the film wanted you to think this was his emotional arc at the end, but really the emotional arc should have been it felt like you go through this arc of the movie, then you get to him, he finally gets his hammer back. Great, cool. But there's still more of the movie, and there's still even a bigger piece of the emotional arc that they still have to touch. So it's kind of like, are you doing like another little hump right there? It was, to me, I'm like, it should have been all wrapped in one for that part. So I get your point where if you destroyed the Bifrost with an actual little hammer or something, and then he gets it back because he's trying to save his brother, that would have been something.
Well, I
but,
mean, or he
eh.
could have had the hammer when he was doing the Bifrost spot,
Yeah.
but he needed to earn it back differently. Is all.
Funniest moment for you?
So there's a lot of funny moments in this movie. One of my favorites, so maybe laugh out loud, where my daughter was even like, "What are you laughing at down there?" Is when she's like, "We need to go get that guy and help him," and she gets in the car, and Skarsgård is like, "Oh man," and the girl in the back, what's her name?
Darcy.
Yeah, Darcy is reloading the taser gun.
Mhm.
And she's like, "Yep, let's go get him." And it's like, I just was like, it's just funny. Like that made me laugh because they did a very good job at being believable as a threesome there, of being a group of people that you're with. You know, that's why I wish their storyline was better, because they fit it so well. You know, their moments made me laugh a lot.
I love when Darcy says, "Next time you decide to hit a guy, can you make him not so heavy?"
Yeah.
That's funny. That's good. My favorite scene, it's kind of a cliche, funny moment, but it's when he slams the glass down. He's like, "I like this drink more," and he's not used to their customs. They're all like, "What the heck?"
Yeah, that's a great.
It's
moment.
good. That's a good fish out of water funny scene.
I think if I had to, mine was between that one, the one I said, and then as you said that, I have to say this one. When he goes into the pet shop and he's like, "I need a horse." And the guy's like, "We don't have those." Or then he's like, "What do you have?" And he goes, "Like dogs and cats." And he's just like, "I need one of them big enough to ride." The dude didn't know what to say. He's just like, like, I just, like, at some point, it's like, what?
This is New Mexico.
Yeah. Hilarious. Yeah.
All right. Most emotional moment for you.
I think him trying to pick up the hammer and he can't. There's that breakdown of him realizing not only is his worthiness gone, but he does feel, like you explained earlier in that moment, that I'm grounded ultimately, you know, and he's just like, oh, it's like, this is the first time probably in his life he felt powerless when especially with the hammer gone. Like, and that, to me, that was very emotional to him. Like, I felt that moment for sure.
Yeah. All right. For me, it was Thor trying to save Loki, because for me, that was more of a brotherly moment, that I know you did wrong, but I still want to save you.
Yeah.
You know, because you are my brother. Even if you are adopted, you are my brother at the end of the day. And you kind of see that brother dynamic continue on, whereas this kind of a love-hate relationship. But ultimately, Thor doesn't want to hurt Loki. Like, usually the bad guys, you want to see the good guys demolish them and put them in jail and all that stuff. I think Thor doesn't. I think he just wants to.
Would you say that Thor, if I threw this out there, could you agree if I say that Thor deciding to try to save the one that's wronged him would have been more worthy of the hammer than just the selflessness of?
Yes.
Thank you.
I agree. I do agree. That would be. Yeah. That's because that's like another tier. That's another level to that. To be like, okay, that
is a kingly decision.
That is a kingly decision.
That's a Steve Rogers decision.
Yes.
Ooh.
All right. So
who's more worthy, folks? Steve Rogers or Thor? Anyways,
multiverse meter. All right. Out of a 2 is the highest we could do on each one of these. Your story score.
1 out of 2.
I put 2.
Yeah.
All right. Characters.
Oh, that's 2 out of 2. Characters great.
2 out of 2 for me too. Action and visuals.
I definitely did a 1 out of 2.
I did 1 out of 2 as well. Motion and stakes. I mean.
Yeah, 0.5 out of 2.
I did 2 out of 2. All right. Your rewatchability and MCU impact.
MCU impact and rewatchability. I'm going to go with the 1.5 as well.
I did the same thing. Yep. So our scores for that are pretty much even, except for
Pretty
the
close.
story part. Yep. All right. So my final score of the film is an 8.5.
Yeah.
What was yours?
Overall, I'm giving this a solid 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Yep. Sorry, guys. I gotta give it that downslope that I had before. I just couldn't get over it much as I wanted to.
So that means that the official multiverse combined total score is a 7.5 out of 10. Does that sound accurate?
Yep. Sounds good to me. Good spot.
Okay. And we already did our post-credit scene as a 10 out of 10. Final verdict, one sentence. What is your final review?
This is a big swing by Marvel that paid off.
Mm-hmm. Great final moment. I put on here, this is probably the most underrated Marvel origin movie that deserves to be recognized for a great origin story that it is.
Great. Yeah, both. You put those sentences together, we got a great tagline.
Yeah.
Yep. Couldn't describe it better.
The last part of this is, if you would do it differently, what would you have done?
I think I've pretty much covered a lot of that instead of getting too far into it, but I would have liked to see maybe him on Earth a little longer. In order to where he can learn some of that humility that we want to see out of him. But I would have liked to see him defeat Loki without the hammer and earning the hammer back by choosing to save Loki rather than kill him would be the thing that Odin was looking for out of him in that whole moment anyways. Not so much that he's willing to put his life on the line, not that he's brave and not that he's courageous, but that he understands that difference of, oh, you've done me wrong, but not always doing you wrong back will be the answer.
Yeah.
And because that was his problem in the beginning, was, oh, they did this, we're going to go do that. It's like, no, maybe we need to just understand what they did it for. Because if Thor would have waited, they'd have found out that Loki did all this and none of this would ever happened. And I think that him doing this with Loki, we wouldn't get the Loki we get in the future if we didn't see this compassion from Thor at the end.
Yeah.
Which to me was the most worthiness. And if I'm going to say it, if I were to say the one thing that makes you worthy with the hammer that in relation to Steve Rogers that they want you to get across is no matter who it is, you're going to be just to them. And that's something Steve does. And that's something that Thor showed and continues to do later, which to me equals kind of the worthiness of the hammer.
Yeah.
So
I agree. For me, because of how much I like this movie, I would agree with your sentiments on changing that, but it wouldn't be as dramatic for me that I would have said differently for my scores.
I got you.
It's good. It's still good either way to me. This isn't one of those movies.
It changed it for me a little. Yeah, I got you.
For me personally, if I have to nitpick certain movies and stuff like that, this is not one that I was like, oh, I'm itching to say something about what I would have done differently, because it was satisfying to me.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay.
All right, everyone.
Guys, this is a good one.
Yeah. Well, that concludes the episode of our 5th episode of the Goodell Multiverse podcast. This was our retrospective breakdown of Thor 1. So what's coming up next is next week we're going to review for our Branch Point Breakdown segment, the Daredevil Born Again Season 2 Episode 5 review.
Yep.
And then our movie for our retrospective segment is going to be Captain America, the First Avenger.
Oh boy, here we go, guys.
I am excited. I have some of my notes already pre-ready for this guy because he is so good. All right. So please like and comment down below on what you thought about our retrospective of Thor 1. What are some things you would have changed? Do you agree with me? Do you agree with my brother Ike? What do you think? We really do want to know. And we do read your comments. So please do comment below. Share this with a friend and family member and help get the algorithm going for us, because we're trying to boost our views here. And with that said, subscribe, like our social media pages. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. So follow us there. Listen to the audio version of this podcast. And is there anything else you want to say?
Just look out for the first episode of Dark Dimension. Will probably drop sometime in the next 7 to 8 days. So
all right.
We'll see how that goes and give me your feedback and if you want more or less or what.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. And until next time, we'll see you at the movies.